Okay. So anyway, if you could make a snack and join and grab a seat and join us. Thank you very much for everyone coming today. Good afternoon and welcome to SOS, Saving Our Sight. I'm Dr. Barbara Cohen. I'm a faculty member here at Berkeley College. And in honor of Diabetic Retinopathy Awareness Month, this event is being sponsored by the Office of Disability Services, Student Development and Campus Life, and the Larry L. Lewing School of Business Health Services Management Program. Before we begin, some quick housekeeping notes. An accessible unisex bathroom is located at the back doors to the left. There's an additional men's restroom also to the left, and women's restroom is to the right. There are refreshments in the back. Please help yourselves, and please make sure that you have a program booklet for today's event, and that you've signed in and provided us with your email address. There are also Berkeley College volunteers at the back door if you have any additional questions or need anything. Please note that this event is being live streamed and all of our Berkeley College campuses are joining us here in New York and New Jersey. I am thrilled to introduce you today to our Director of Disability Services, Dr. Sharon McLennan-Weir.
Oops, I'm sorry. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to SOS. Thank you so much for coming. And I just want to thank Dr. Cohen because this was her idea. She felt that we have students here at Berkeley College that suffer with diabetes, and she just wanted them to be aware that one of the aspects, if untreated, that you could lose your vision. So she felt that this was something that all the students needed to know, as well as faculty and staff. So I just want to thank her. Let's give her a warm applause for encouraging us to do this presentation for you today. So I have the distinct privilege to introduce a really cool person here on our campus. She's kind of the celebrity. You probably don't know her, but you're going to know her now because she's really cool. So I get to introduce Dr. Dallas Reed. She is our Vice President of Student Development and Campus Life. She's been working here at Berkeley College since 2011. She's had many, many titles, and I think the most important thing to know about Dallas is that she really, really cares about students. Her focus, her mission, her goal is to help every student get across. Thank you. Okay, because I got to be on the video. Thank you. To get across. See, that's blindness, I tell you. Anyway, at least we can laugh about it, right? To get across the stage, and so not even just getting across the stage, she wants every student to graduate to gainful employment. So that's really, really a wonderful thing. So Dr. Reed has a PhD from Jackson University in Mississippi. Her PhD is in higher education. She also holds a master's degree in organizational leadership, and she obtained that from Pfeiffer University. And also, she has a bachelor's degree in general arts from Penn State. And I was a Syracuse grad, so we used to kick Penn States. But anyhow, that's okay. A little football. It's all good. It's all good. I have the great distinct privilege to welcome Dr. Dallas Reed to the stage. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, those of you that don't know me, I really think I'm one of the funniest people that I know, so here we go. This is my attempt at thank you all so much for answering the SOS that we sent out for you to be here today. Get it? Am I telling my age? How many of you know what SOS outside the acronym Saving Our Sight means? Okay. The very fact, it's a distress signal, meaning that you're sending out a call. It's a code. So my little joke was we sent out the call and you all showed up today. So for that, we are greatly appreciative. First and foremost, join me in giving Dr. Sharon McLennan-Weir a round of applause for all that she has done to bring awareness and education about disability services, as well as this very important topic today, dealing with diabetes and the loss of eyesight. So please join me in giving her a round of applause. So Saving Our Sight, today we're here to talk about and really to bring education awareness about diabetic retinopathy awareness, which is this month here. Let me ask you a question, and feel free to either show of hands or just rhetorically think about this in your mind. How many of you know somebody, or perhaps you yourself might be struggling with diabetes? And that's absolutely something, because again, if I were to do a rough estimate, I'd say probably 80% of the hands in this audience went up today. Well, we're hoping that perhaps by having these kind of conversations and these kind of programs, that we can provide an opportunity about the awareness, and although whether it's you or someone that you know or someone that you love that may be struggling, we always believe that the more education that you have, it's about manageability. And if there's a way and a means that we can control this aspect of diabetes, it's opportunities and conversations like today that create that forum for us. How many of you are aware that actually blindness was one of the common effects and things that people deal with diabetes? Again, about 75 or 80% of you were aware of that as well. How many of you know that 5 million Americans that are suffering from diabetes, and there are about 24,000 new cases of blindness associated with that every single year? Those numbers are absolutely staggering. And it really hits home for me because there was someone that I cared deeply about that I lost to diabetes. And you would think that with all the medicine and all the things today, we always think you would never find yourself in that space. But it's not just simply about the awareness in the program, but it's also about all the individuals that are going to be sitting in the back of the room, as well as I believe that there's going to be some glaucoma screening today as well that you'll be able to take advantage of. And so for those of you that did raise your hand, this is personal. But for those of you that did not raise your hand, the mere fact that you're here, we know that you care and you want that knowledge and you want to make a difference. We want our Berkeley College students in particular to know that are in the audience that we're here to support you both in and outside of the classroom. And it's these kinds of opportunities, these types of discussions, that it's important that you take advantage of. We also want you to know that we are part of the community, because we realize that as we are preparing you for lifelong success and dynamic careers, that you're not simply taking that degree, but you're taking the brand of Berkeley College and who you are with us. And we want you to be the best you and the healthiest you that you could be. So on behalf of our president, the Lewings, and the entire Berkeley College community, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, because at the end of the day, there's a million other places you could have been. And we just appreciate your presence, your time, and commitment to this very important topic and discussion. I want to extend a huge, heartfelt thank you to my student development and campus life team that truly is the hardest working team at Berkeley College, the Larry L. Lewis School of Business, the School of Health Studies, and a very, very special thank you to Dr. Sharon McLennan-Ware and her vision, her commitment, her passion, Barbara Cohen, and of course Janelle Sanabria. So with that being said, it's time for me to pass the mic on. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Dallas. Dallas was one of my first partners in crime here at Berkeley College. So I have the great pleasure to introduce Dr. Andrea Zimmerman. Dr. Zimmerman is a low vision clinician. She attended New York University as an undergraduate and received a Bachelor of Arts in Biology with magna cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa distinction. She received her Doctor of Optometry degree from SUNY College of Optometry, which is just around the corner from here if any of you have passed it by, and performed further educational training at Lighthouse International for treatment of individuals with low vision. Dr. Zimmerman is a fellow of the American Academy of Optometry and an adjunct assistant clinical professor to SUNY College of Optometry, where she's taught optometry students about the practice of low vision. Her activities have included promoting vision, rehabilitation, and lectures throughout the tri-state area. She's been published in professional journals for her work in low vision optometry. And also Dr. Zimmerman will be in a classroom next door here, and she will be conducting some eye screenings, and we hope that you will take advantage of that while you're here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you, everybody, for having us here today to speak to you a little bit about, I'll be speaking to you a little bit about diabetes and its effect on the retina. I just need, is this for the slides? Okay. Down is for the, okay, great. So first I just want to tell you, my name is Dr. Zimmerman. I'm one of the low vision clinicians at Lighthouse Guild. And I see patients for what's called low vision evaluations, which are a little bit different than regular eye examinations. And I'll be talking about that in just a little bit. And I also want to tell you a little bit about what Lighthouse Guild is. If I can get this, oops, I guess we went too far. So Lighthouse Guild is the leading not-for-profit organization dealing with vision loss that helps people that have vision loss to lead independent, full lives, to manage better with their vision loss. And we also educate people to help prevent vision loss by providing the resources and the rehabilitation necessary and just education necessary to help prevent any vision impairments that we can. If you want to visit us, you can do so on the internet at lighthouseguild.org. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we do. So if we talk about your vision and just in the beginning, many of you are young, which is great, but as we get older, we might notice that things become a little bit harder to see up close. We start needing reading glasses. We might need a little bit more light. The sun might bother us a little bit more. And we think, oh, you know what, I'm just kind of getting older. These are just natural changes. But many times they aren't. Many times it means that there are changes happening inside our eyes that we're not aware of what's going on, that maybe this is a disease process that's happening. And we really don't know the difference of what's a natural change in our vision versus something that's a disease process. Only our eye doctor knows that. So that's why it's important for us to get our eyes checked on a regular basis. Now, if you have diabetes or you know someone with diabetes, you might have heard of this before. There are two different types of diabetes. There's type 1 diabetes, which used to be called juvenile diabetes, and there's type 2 diabetes, which is more of an adult onset diabetes. Now, one thing you need to know about diabetes is that insulin, which we've all heard about, is a hormone in our bodies that acts as a mediator. It helps to bring sugar into the cells so that the cells can use the sugar and be able to function. Now, if insulin is not present, the sugar cannot get into the cell. It has no way of traveling into the cell without the insulin being present. In type 1 diabetes, the insulin is just not produced, or it's not produced enough to put the sugar into the cell so that the cell can make whatever they need to make, whether it's a skin cell or a heart cell or an eye cell. There's not insulin in the body in type 1. In type 2, people have the insulin, but the insulin is not an effective type of insulin. So still, the sugar is not getting into the cell. The cells are not getting their energy, and they're not able to do the function that they need to do in order to be healthy. And I went the wrong way. So just a few more statistics about diabetes, and this was taken from the American Diabetes Association as of 2015. And I thought some of them were very interesting. Unfortunately, about 30 million Americans in 2015 had diabetes. That's a lot of people. That's 10% of the population. But what's even more upsetting is that out of the 30 million people, 7 million people were undiagnosed. That meant that they had no idea that they had diabetes, and sugar was circulating in their bloodstream and causing havoc in their body without them having any treatment for this. So getting diagnosed, having regular physicals are so important, because sometimes we really don't have the symptoms that show us that maybe diabetes is present. The prevalence in senior citizens actually goes up. It's 25% in people over the age of 65 that have diabetes. And there was another statistic that I thought that was interesting. In 2015, 84 million people, that's almost 25% of the population, had pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes means when your sugar level is a little higher. It's not high enough to have treatment yet, but it's a warning sign saying, you know what, you need to maybe cut down on that cake a little bit. You need to get some more exercise. You need to be proactive about your health. So that's very important. And deaths, diabetes, unfortunately, is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States. And I think I'm missing part of my slide here. Let's see, here we go. Okay. So there are many different effects of diabetes on the body. Obviously, if you have too much sugar in your blood, that's called hyperglycemia. That's too much sugar when there's not enough insulin taking the sugar out of the blood. But sometimes I had a patient the other day, and she had too much insulin in her body, and she didn't eat. So what happened to her sugar? It went all the way down. And that's also a very dangerous situation because that person can actually die if you don't have enough sugar in your body. So that's something that's very dangerous as well. We all know from advertisements on television, you can have dry skin. I'm speaking to you today about eye complications, neuropathy. People with diabetes sometimes can't walk, or they have very painful feet or hands. Foot complications, kidney disease is a big problem with diabetes, and mental health. If you think about all the things that you cannot eat and all the sickness, unfortunately, that can come with diabetes, that's very depressing, and that's very frustrating for many people. So many people need help emotionally to deal with this disease. So this is a picture of a normal eye. If you take somebody's eye and you take it out of the eye socket and you cut it in half, the right side shows a cross-section of the eye. The front of the eye is the cornea. There's a lens in the middle of the eye. The back of the eye, lining the back of the eye, is the retina. The retina is a nerve tissue that's made up of 1 million nerve cells that all coalesce. I'm just going to go over here just to show you. They all coalesce into the optic nerve over here, which comes up and leads up into the brain. So if we take this picture and we turn it sideways, this is the retina over here. This is the retina in the back of the eye. And it's a nice healthy retina, a nice normal eye. It's a nice pink glow. The blood vessels are straight. We don't see any bleeding or any leakage. The optic nerve looks very healthy. This is a diabetic eye. Big difference, right? You see a lot of bleeding, a lot of clear leakage. Leaks into the retina, out of the blood cell, out of the blood vessels. And many times people may have a retina like this. They come to see me, and I ask them, so how's your vision doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I can see distance, I can see to read, but this is what their eye looks like. And this is getting to be a dangerous situation. So who gets diabetic retinopathy? Well, diabetic retinopathy can affect all people that have diabetes, whether they have type 1 or type 2. Diabetic retinopathy is the most common form of diabetic eye disease. And there's other things that can happen to your eye besides diabetic retinopathy, but diabetic retinopathy is the most common eye disease from diabetes. It's the leading cause of blindness in American adults. I was even a little surprised about that. And it involves changes to the blood vessels in the eye. I won't really get into how it does that, but just know that when there's so much sugar in the blood, in the retina, it causes the blood vessels to become very weak, and they leak blood, and they leak what's called serous liquid, clear liquid, into the retina. And that's really what causes the vision loss. But diabetes, unfortunately, diabetic retinopathy, we see many different eye diseases. I see many different eye diseases. Diabetic retinopathy is one of the only eye diseases that can cause total vision loss. But it's very treatable if it's caught or in early stages. So that's why, again, it's so important for you to get your eyes checked. These are 4 different pictures of different stages in diabetic retinopathy. The first picture just shows, if you can see, it's a little hard to see here with the lights on, but there's a little bit of leakage, there's a little bleeding, a little clear fluid we see. This is just the beginning that somebody's starting to have a problem with diabetic retinopathy. This is called non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, and it's not that bad, but it's a danger sign that we really need to keep a close eye on this person. As we go to the right, we see more leakage, more bleeding that's happening. Down here, the disease is progressing even further. Sometimes in diabetic retinopathy, what happens is because the cells are starving, because the sugar is not getting into the cells and the blood vessels are leaking, new blood vessels grow, and they actually leak massive amounts of blood into the back of the eye. And this final stage is somebody that really did not take care of their vision, that really maybe is not taking care of their sugar either. So we see a lot of leakage in the back of the eye, a lot of bleeding, and even the optic nerve itself gets very swollen, which is a very dangerous condition again. But besides diabetic retinopathy, there are other things that can happen from diabetes to your eyes. Sometimes your vision can fluctuate, your prescription can change all of a sudden. You can develop another eye disease called glaucoma, which is also a very dangerous neovascular glaucoma. It's very hard to control. You can have cataracts. People are more prone to develop dry eye, and they can, if the disease is not treated, can develop something called a retinal detachment, which is a very dangerous condition which can cause a total loss of vision. So how does diabetic retinopathy affect vision? What do people see? So patients that I have come to see me, they say things are very hazy or foggy. Maybe I have blind spots in my vision. If you look at the picture on the left, that's a normal photograph. The picture on the right might be somebody that's had some laser treatments from diabetic retinopathy or has scarring in the back of the eye, and they have blind spots in their vision and things are just not clear any longer. There's greater sense of glare, there's less contrast, and they just need a lot more light in order to be able to see. So again, who's at risk? Everyone with diabetes. And the longer you have diabetes, the greater the risk. Sometimes I see patients and they say, but my sugar's been under control for 20 years. You know what? Unfortunately, sometimes even that person that has sugar that's under control will develop changes in the retina. So it's very important to have your eyes checked again. Risk factors. The length of time we just spoke about. And I don't want to give you the wrong impression. It's still very important to control your sugar, because the better you control your sugar, the less chance you have of developing severe vision loss. So important to control your sugar, know what your levels are. I have a lot of patients that come to me and they say, and I ask them, what's your hemoglobin A1C? That's a blood test that everyone gets to measure their sugar level, or most people get. And they say, I don't know. Well, you should know. You should ask your doctor, how's my sugar doing? What's my number? If you have diabetes, that's an important number to know. Obviously, we need to avoid all the carbohydrates and the sugars, but sometimes even having too much bread or Coca-Cola is a problem too. So it goes just beyond eating sweets, but also losing weight and obviously getting exercise are very, very important. So what can you do? I keep saying, see your diabetes doctor, see your eye doctor at least once a year, eat a healthy diet, omega-3s, green leafy vegetables, exercise again. I can't tell you how many research papers have come out lately about exercise and the eye with so many different eye conditions. Diabetes, macular degeneration, glaucoma. Everybody just says exercise, exercise, exercise. If you pump that blood through your body, you're taking the wastes out of the portions of where they are, and you're bringing new blood, new oxygen, new nutrients in. Exercise is very important, and watch your weight. If you develop vision loss, okay, I controlled my sugar, I went to the doctor. Unfortunately, I'm still losing vision. What do? Well, if you see, the first thing that you need to do is you need to see a retinal specialist, and Dr. Cooney, I think, will be speaking in a little while. And he will tell you more about this, but there are many, many treatments for diabetic retinopathy if it's caught early enough. That's the most important thing, is that it's caught early. There's medication, there's surgery, there are eye drops, there's laser, there's a lot of things to prevent vision loss. And what's the other thing? The other thing is that you need to see a low vision specialist to help you with utilizing the remaining vision you have, and that's what I do. So a lot of people come to me and they say, do I have low vision? What is low vision? So low vision is when you have a vision impairment and glasses don't help and surgery doesn't help and medicine doesn't help, and your vision is still blurry. It's hard for you to see a street sign. It's hard for you to read. It's hard for you to see the computer. It's hard to see the curbs and the steps. Low vision varies. It can be, I saw an accountant this morning. She was unable to see the numbers on her computer. And then I saw a homemaker later who couldn't see to prepare her food. So anybody who's having problems doing what they need to do with their vision, that's considered low vision. And we spoke about some of these things that are hard to do. A lot of people have reduced contrast, and that's something that we check for at Lighthouse, which many eye doctors really don't check for, and that's okay, that's not their job, but for people that come to us, we really want to get an idea of how they're functioning, of what they're seeing. Contrast sensitivity, if people have poor contrast sensitivity, it means that things do not look very black and white to them. So if they come to a curb and a step, they can't see the curb and the step off the floor because the floor is not white and the curb is not black. It's a gray on gray pattern. Same thing with faces. People that have vision impairment can't see somebody's face because we don't have black eyes on a white face with red lips. Right? We have shades of brown or maybe different shades of blue on a brown face or a tan face that are harder to distinguish. So many people come and they have very good vision. They can see all the way down on the chart, but if their contrast is bad, their quality of life is very poor because their mobility is affected and their interaction with people is affected as well, and their reading. So at the Lighthouse for Low Vision, we use a special technology and we do special testing to see how a patient is functioning during the low vision examination. So we do a little bit different type of testing. We use very special charts that have very black letters on a very white background. We test for contrast sensitivity. There's a chart over here where the letters start out very black on the top and then they get much more gray as you go down. And that person, again, can tell me how well they see contrast. Many people have distortion in their vision. They can still see letters. They can, they can see things, but things just look distorted or wavy. So what do we do with people that have impaired vision? Well, what I do is I examine them. I get an idea of where their vision is, and then I prescribe special low vision devices to help them manage better with their impaired vision. And that can be either very strong reading glasses where they hold the paper very close, or special magnifying devices which improve contrast and magnify. This person's holding a magnifying device called a CCTV over a bottle, which enlarges the print on the bottle. This gentleman's using a telescope to help him see a street sign far away. But then there are other rehabilitation services that we have as well. We teach people to prepare food. This woman's cutting a carrot on a white cutting board. Again, contrast, so important. If she was cutting a carrot on a brown cutting board with less light, it would be hard for her to see. We have mobility training using a cane. We do adaptive technology for people that want to see their computer. There's software that enlarges the print on the computer. And in the middle is actually mental health. Again, so important. Vision loss is very, very difficult. It's frustrating. It's isolating. Very difficult. And sometimes we need to get over the barrier of trying to accept it emotionally before we go forward with any of the other services. So in conclusion, if you have diabetes, what do you need to do? You need to get your eyes checked at least once a year. More often if your retinal specialist says that. You have to encourage your friends and loved ones with diabetes to have their eyes checked and manage their sugar and their weight. If you notice any change in your vision, if you have your eyes checked in January and then in June something happens that's a little funky in your vision and you're not supposed to go back to the doctor, don't wait. You have to go back and make sure that everything's okay. And obviously, exercise and weight loss and pay attention to your sugar levels. Thank you so much for having us. Very nice meeting all of you. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Zimmerman. We have a question and answer. Does anyone in the audience have a question for Dr. Zimmerman? Lauren, do we have anybody from the other campuses? Okay. Anybody in the audience? I know she was just so comprehensive and so good that you have no questions. She was so clear and precise. Okay. Well, she'll be around, so I encourage all of you to come see her, and she's doing free eye screenings. She'll be here, so why not? Let's see what's going on with you, okay? Now, we're going to move on to the next presenter, but before I do that, am I straight? Can you see me? All right, cool. Good. Okay. So before we move on to our next presenter, I have a little fun for you guys, because I know you students like to sneak out. So we want you to know that we have some really cool presenters in the back, and we have food, and we have giveaways, okay? Giveaways. So now it's time for the giveaway, okay? So I want you guys, there's going to be 3 giveaways throughout this presentation, so you got to stay, and we don't know when they're going to happen, okay? So you just have to stay. All right, so if you are sitting in your chair, well, all of you are sitting, right? I can't see you, so I don't know. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, sorry, couldn't resist. Okay, so if you put your hand underneath the chair, one of you will have a lucky sticker. Who is it? Let me get the giveaway. Where am I? Okay. I was over here. Ooh, sugar. Look at them ripping. Did anybody find it? All right. Did someone find it? We have a winner. Yay! All right. Come up. That's you. You got to come up to me. I can't see you. You got to come to me.
The other way.
Over here.
This way.
Towards me. Front. All the way here. See, how you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your name? You got to turn around. Introduce yourself to the audience. Okay. Hello, come on, guys. Come on. What is your name?
My name is Yinsan.
Yinsan. Are you a student or just?
I'm a student. I'm a nun.
Oh, okay.
So my major is information technology.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Yeah.
You're a Berkeley student?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a Berkeley student.
wh-
Before I'm in the White Plains.
Okay.
Now I'm to New York City.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for being a Berkeley student.
Thank
So
you.
we're giving you a T-shirt from the two blind boys. Two Blind Brothers. It's an organization where they put different pictures of New York City in Braille on the T-shirt. They're supposed to be really cool. So you want to open up and show it to everybody so they can see your prize?
I want to open.
Yeah, open it. I would want to open it too. I love free stuff. Who doesn't like free things?
If you want to take a picture, I think you can come in. We can take a picture.
A picture? Well, yes, we can take a picture.
We can
Yeah,
take a picture.
maybe a little. Okay, she wants to take a picture with us now. Look at this. I feel like I'm a celebrity.
Together,
Okay, all right. Let's show the Let's show the shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Doesn't that look cool, people?
Yeah.
Tell me how cool it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'll hold this side. Okay. All right. Cool. I need directions. You got it? Okay. Awesome. Congratulations. Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Okay, people, you gotta stay. You might win something else. I can't tell you what the other prizes are, but they'll be interesting. Okay, so we can't do a presentation about such a difficult topic without actually having a case study, but we have a live case study. So I'm happy to introduce to you Miss Jessica Jones. Now, I had the privilege of working with Miss Jessica, and I know her from the Lavelle School for the Blind. Jessica Jones is an art teacher, a fabulous artist, and she developed diabetic retinopathy in 2002 from type 1 diabetes, that she was diagnosed with that in 1976. She is an avid artist, and she has spent her life working to promote art for those who have disabilities, and she's fabulous, I must say. What we would like to do right now is to show you a little clip from a documentary that she was in, and we're going to show that to you, and then Ms. Jones will come and talk to the audience, okay? Guys, you want to roll the clip?
Hi.
Can I pet your dog?
Actually, no. He's working right now.
I first met Jessica Jones when she was
All right. I would like to introduce you to Miss Phenomenal, Amazing Jessica Jones. Come on up. Well, you can stay by your chair. You can stand there. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Can you all hear me? Did I do this right? Have I turned you on?
Give me your hand.
Right here.
Let's switch.
Oh, thank you.
Right for me. Okay. We'll switch.
Okay, how about that? Oh, hi. Okay, I have to tell you all that I'm having a moment right now because the dog, the dog that you saw in the film was my first guide. And this is one of his very distant cousins named Willie, who took his place. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do if it's okay with you. I'm just going to start at the very beginning, and if at any time you have a question, please just shout out and stop me. I can't see you if you raise your hand, so if you really want to ask me a question, just shout it out and let me know. As Sharon said, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes back in 1976, if you can imagine. And at that, I actually was very lucky because at the time, my family was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I wound up with one of the, for any of you people in endocrinology who are out in the audience, with one of the major forces in juvenile diabetes research, Dr. George Bergen. And Dr. Bergen really put forth to my family what a very, very serious autoimmune disease that diabetes is. And in fact, I'll tell you a funny story. He said to my grandmother, now, when she comes up to you with those sad puppy dog eyes and wants some cookies, you can't give them to her. She said, I would never do such a thing. And sure enough, my family did not. I always had relatively easy diabetes. And I was diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy in 2002. And, you know, going back to what Dr. Zimmerman was saying, yeah, you can keep your A1Cs perfectly between 5 and 7. But I'll tell you, I was having an annual eye exam at the time, as I had been since I had been diagnosed with diabetes. And 8 months prior to my diagnosis, the eye doctor said, no sign of diabetes in the eyes. And I will never forget that, because like I said, I had always been in relatively good shape, you know, from 6 years to 32. In fact, I have no kidney problems, I have no neuropathy, I've got nothing. Diabetes decided to take my eyes. And was it incredibly difficult? Yes. Is it still incredibly difficult? Yes, it is. But what I am thankful for is that we have the State Commission for the Blind, and we have organizations like the Lighthouse and like Visions. I don't know where I would be without them, because what I find is, and this is, I don't know how well this is going to go over with students in the medical profession, but something that Joe Lovett, the man who made this documentary, and I are constantly fighting over is how little doctors communicate to their patients about vision. You may go into your doctor's office, doctor's office for your eye exam, and say, well, how, you know, what am I doing? How am I doing? Oh, your numbers look good. And you say to them, but I can't see anything, you know. You need to make sure that you're getting the full picture, just not, it looks good. It looks good in relation to what? What does that mean? And if indeed, due to diabetes, due to whatever cause, you do begin to have problems with your vision, I'm not talking about complete blindness, but as Dr. Zimmerman said, blurriness, loss of contrast. There are places that can help you with that, specifically the Lighthouse, specifically Visions. And it is not something, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that is going to stop you in any way. The only way it can stop you is if you allow it to. What else do I want to say on this topic? Other than, I feel like I'm repeating everything that Dr. Zimmerman has said, which is, you know, really watching your diabetes, whether it be type 1 or type 2, is critical. I have lots of friends who were diagnosed as type 2 as adults, and a lot of them see their general practitioners in order to monitor the disease. It is my personal feeling that anybody, even if it's early onset diabetes, should be seeing an endocrinologist. I think it's imperative. For example, look at someone like me who is a really healthy person and is now completely blind. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know I'm talking real fast.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm Barbara Cohen. I'm
Hey.
the faculty here. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming today. So my question is, I was watching you go down the subway steps and into the subway and so on and so forth. So maybe you can share with us some things that sighted people can do that would be most helpful.
Yes, I can't.
In
The
terms
most
of
helpful.
social things, in terms of travel things, in terms of whatever.
Yes, the most helpful thing, and Sharon, you could probably back me up on this, the most helpful thing that a sighted person can do, first and foremost, is when someone is standing at a crosswalk with a cane or with a guide dog, you don't walk up and grab their elbow and start pushing them across the street. You'd be shocked how often this happens. And it's only people doing it out of goodwill, and I know that. They want to help. They see somebody who they think automatically needs assistance because they are holding a cane or they have a guide dog. The best way that you can assist is to walk up and say, "Can I help you cross the street?" Very simply. What else can I say to the sighted community? Another thing that I can say to the sighted community is this, is that there are about, at last count, I think this number may have gone up since last I heard, is that only about 70% of blind or low vision folks in America actually work. We as people who are low vision and blind have got to do our jobs better than anybody who has sight in order to get a job and keep a job, and not to underestimate somebody with a disability, whether that be somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who cannot hear without hearing devices, or blindness for that matter.
How do you feel social media has been in terms of, has that been a help for you lately to connect with other people because of your vision loss?
No. And I'm not answering this the correct way. Has it been helpful for me to connect with people? No, because I've always been a pretty social person, and I just go but I do know, because I do get emails from various online sites. Shoot, I'm trying to sit here and think of the names for you, Dr. Zimmerman. One that has come up recently is Opportunities for the Blind, and lots of the people who are, emailing to the site are folks who are not working due to low vision or sight loss. And what do I do? How do I do this? How do I find the opportunity to show people that I can do this as well as or better than a sighted person? So yes, that sort of stuff is definitely out there, absolutely in droves. So.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Is this on? Yeah. Anybody? You guys are just blown away. Yeah. Scary, right? Okay.
Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm an international student from Germany, right now here at Berkeley College. And as you know, I'm not from New York, so New York tends to be a very stressful city for me.
Right.
And so I'm always looking left and right that I don't get run over.
Right.
So my question is maybe how stressful is New York for you? Or maybe is it just for you, like, tend to be normal?
Huh. Well, it's not really. But then again, how long have you been in New York?
Right now for 2 months.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. Sure. 2 months. I have been here since 1995. So, honest to goodness, I mean, now, like I said in the film, when I was still a cane user, before I got my first dog, I was utterly terrified because I had that worst case scenario in my head of somebody seeing the blind woman and taking advantage of her. It was horrifying. And I will never, if given the opportunity, use a cane as opposed to a guide dog. On the other hand, I have friends who feel they get much more information from a cane than they could ever get from a guide dog. There you go, Sharon. Exactly. Yeah. So in answer to your question, no, it's not really stressful. Mm-mm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else? Okay.
So I don't mean to take advantage here, but you know I get to ask all these questions
Sure.
because you came today. So let's say one of our students has a vision problem or is blind, and let's say somebody else, their buddy in class, wants to go out, and they want to go out to a restaurant across the street and have a meal.
Okay.
What would be some of the most helpful things people could do? Because good friends are hard to find, and we have a lot of good friends here.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, one thing that would be very helpful, you know, let's back up here. Is the individual who is having problems with sight arriving alone? Are they arriving with somebody? What's the situation?
Let's assume they leave class. They
Okay.
invite your friend from class
Mm-hmm.
to go down the street to the restaurant to have coffee and a bite to eat.
Okay, okay, so they're going together.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So a good thing to do is just to say, you know, as you are approaching the curb, here comes the curb, and here come the steps. And if that is not something the person needs, they will be able to tell you that. Or on the other hand, it could be, you know, very helpful for them, you know. And I think that as friends, it is, and we should, excuse me, back up here, not we, but for example, somebody going to dinner with a friend who is having problems with vision or who is low vision. I think that as friends, you should not be embarrassed to, and that you have the right to say, we're going to a new place. Can you let me know how I can assist you if indeed I can? And hopefully they will be able to tell you that. And on top of that, just a little side preference. If the person's having trouble with vision, don't go take them into a place that's loud. It is hell. It's absolute hell. It really is. Sound is a very, very funny thing when you don't have vision. And I am assuming for folks who are low vision as well, in that if you are in a large space and there is noise all around you, it is more difficult to pinpoint noise. So you and I could be sitting face and face across from one another, and you could be speaking directly to me, and I might not even know it, even though I have perfect hearing. It is all the extraneous noise going on around me that can make things difficult to communicate.
Thank you, Jessica. On that note, I was hoping that Michael Honan from New York State Commission for the Blind can come up to the front because he's an orientation mobility specialist. And are you back there, Michael? Come on up, come on up. Because I think since Jessica made a nice segue, it would be helpful for him to teach students about the sighted guide technique. So if you have a friend or associate, or maybe you just see the blind lady like myself walking through the halls by myself, and you want to do a helpful hand, I think it would be great if you know how to do it correctly. So Michael, you coming?
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay, can I get a student to come up to volunteer? All right, cool. So go ahead, Mike. Here's the mic.
Okay. Guess a change in topic. My name is Michael Honan with the New York State Commission for the Blind. I guess what we'll do first is just to demonstrate.
Can you hear in the back?
Can you guys hear me? Oh, Jesus Christ. Now I know what I sound like. with New York State. And so what I'm going to do is just demonstrate a basic technique called sighted guide. It's also called human guide. It depends on, because a while ago it used to be called sighted guide, and then some people said, well, that's not really the term we want to use, because people who have no sight or little sight can still guide other people. They would just adjust their technique. If they're using a cane, they'd swing the cane wider. If they're going, you know, depending on how they travel, they would just make adjustments. So they switched the name to human guide, which is common now, but a lot of people don't, from a long time ago, don't remember if you join a club. So, so you can hear it in either way, okay? And basically what you're doing with human guide technique is you're taking responsibility for the person you're guiding. You're making sure that you kind of put a bubble around a person, or both of you. So now you're not 2 feet wide, now you're 4 feet wide. Now you're not 5'10", maybe you're 6'3". You go for the widest and highest part of the pair that you're with. And you look out for things. So if you're walking down an aisle here, if there's any holes in the ground or any tree branches, you would look ahead. You kind of be more proactive. You look ahead, you get what's ahead of what you have to do, and then you adjust your travel. It's basically with any kind of mobility technique is you're gaining information beforehand, processing it, and then adjusting and going accordingly. So the first thing you do if you meet a person who's blind or visually impaired, you don't want to just grab a person. You just come home and say, hi, blah, blah, blah. You make a little small talk, and then if you might want to ask, do you need assistance to find someplace? You can ask it any way. Don't feel that you're going to offend somebody. Working out a script is difficult to do in general, but to feel that you might say the wrong things. The point is you're doing a good thing. You're asking someone if they want assistance, and feel comfortable with that. So if I see you walking or looking for something in the hallway, I might say, oh, excuse me, you're trying to find something. You say, yes, I want to find room 203. I said, oh, would you like some assistance to get there? And well, for the demonstration, you'll say yes. And then say, okay, would you like me to guide you?
Yes.
And then do you have a preference? Would you like to hold on to my right arm or my left arm? Because someone might have, like, did you have a cane there? So
I
the
do
ca-
have a cane.
So the cane she might use in her left hand.
I
So
do
so
with my
then,
right hand.
oh, the right hand. Come on.
Well, I mean.
We got to work together here.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd find out what side, and she might prefer to hold. So I'd go on her left
So
side.
I come over this way.
Yep. So she would hold my elbow, and what I do at first is I'd make contact with her arm, just like that. So she's not gripping my body, reaching all over, trying to find out where everything is, and vice versa. You don't want to just grab a person and say, "Okay, come with me."
Okay.
So you'd say, "Okay, hold on to my arm." I'd give her an idea where my elbow is, my arm is. She'd follow it up to above my elbow. Okay. So you want to use, if anybody knows sign language, let us see.
Yeah.
So the thumb on the inside. So let me just demonstrate. So you put your thumb on the inside of my elbow. And
Inside?
yeah, right, just like that. Oh,
I-
there we go, just like that. So the thumb will be on the inside.
That's the outside.
Okay, the outside. Look at that.
You see, to me, that's the outside.
So and the forefinger's on the inside.
Yeah.
And basically what you do is you keep it above the elbow so I can still have mobility in my arm. So if I have to stop for something, I can put my arm out in front of
Oh,
you,
yeah,
and
okay.
vice versa. So as we go to walk, I'll get some information from you as we're walking. She might grab tightly on my arm. She might
Too
grab.
tight.
Yeah, so too tight might mean she's a little nervous. She's a little apprehensive. I might be walking too fast. So you're going to get information from her just like she's going to get information from you. So if we're walking, and let's just say my arm goes up or down, she'll get an idea that the surface is changing. And what you also want to do, as someone mentioned before, just about curves. If you ever come up to a drop-off or anything different,
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
you let the person know, we're coming up to a curb, the curb goes down, the curb goes up. You always stop before the difference in,
In the sizes.
right,
And the heights.
in the heights. A lot of times as you're walking down the street, there's like broken concrete from a tree lifting up. You let the person know as you're walking there would stop or coming up to a change in concrete due to a tree. And as you're walking with a person, you want to, you don't want to be so detailed, but you want to create,
Confidence.
well, confidence too when you're walking, but you want to create a scenario. Like as you're walking through, because the majority of people we work with as a mobility instructor have had sight. So they have visual memories, and visual memories are very important because you can remember what something looks like. So you kind of animate things as you're walking through your journey. I mean, this would be a short one, but if I meet a person out in the community and we're walking to, I don't know, Dunkin' Donuts or someplace, as we're walking, I would tell, okay, we're going by Smith Street, and there's this thing over here, and the person, oh yeah, I remember that, because when I had my sight, I would look for different things. So you create kind of visual thing. You don't have to worry about not every single thing, because then it gets too confusing. but you just point out the major things. So if we're walking, there's, let's say, a corner or something like that, or Dunkin' Donuts, or different things. Just to food. Okay, so there we have it. Mine would be food too.
Everywhere you can eat, that's what I would tell you we live.
Yeah.
Badly.
There you go. And you can sense the smell too. So different things a person draws upon to kind of animate their journey, to create a map, per se, a mental map in your head, as well as a visual map. So as we walk through, hold on to my arm again, we'd basically just walk, and here it gets very narrow. So the person would be about a half step behind me, but not directly behind me, because again, it gives that person advance notice of what's ahead. It gives them time to stop and react, okay? So there's not too much room here. So we're going to turn to the right a little bit, and we just walk around. So if the area gets, I just make some adjustments as we come through. We just walk casually. There's no rush. You'll make mistakes. Look out for different things like that as we go through. And we're turning, and she'll get information about what we're doing. I'm making a turn. You can feel my body turn, and we go with it. Now, if you come into a situation where you have to make a turn, there's 3 ways to do a turn, but I'm only going to cover 2 because those are the easiest ones. Basically, you want to hold on again? I would pivot around her body, and she would just turn, and we'd go. Then the other way would be she would come around my body, and then we go ahead. There's something called an about face, but that's really complicated, and if I can't even tell you if one finger's on the outside, I'm going to mess that one up big time. So those are the basic things you do. So again, when you work with somebody, you always ask politely if they want assistance. You ask what side they might want to travel upon, and then you'd reach out with your elbow or something like that to make contact with them. So they know exactly where they are in relationship to your body, okay? And then as you go, you kind of peruse the area to see if there's anything that we have to be concerned about, and you then would adjust your travel. If there's any ups or downs or curbs, you let the person know we're coming up to a curb, we're going to step down. You always stop beforehand. You make the step first, and then they come down with you, and then you continue. When you come to the up curb, you do the same thing. You stop, and then you go up. If you come to stairs, the person might feel comfortable using a handrail, which is perfectly fine. You bring them over to the hand railing, and they can also still hold on to your arm, okay? Now, in general, if you meet a person, if they have a cane or something like that, they still might want to use the cane because they don't trust you 100% yet, because they don't know you. So that's perfectly fine. When I work with people, I encourage them, still keep using a cane because that's going to give you information and give them feedback about what's ahead of them. So that's basic sighted guide technique, okay? Any questions upon that? No? Oh, question from a lady in the second row. Sure. Oh, geez. That's her. Oh, here you go.
So when you think or when you dream, do you still think in colors or think?
Are you asking me? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I can see
sorry.
all my dreams. And it's really funny is that I have a lot, not what, 10% of my dreams are dreams in which I can see everything that's going on, but I am aware of the fact that I am blind.
Okay.
Which is a very interesting one, like, there's some emergency and I've got to get out of somewhere real quick and I can see everything, but I know that I'm blind and how am I going to do it?
So do you consider them to be nice or not so nice, the dreams?
My dreams in which I'm seeing everything? Oh, I love it. I have a very strong visual memory. I see everything. I can see, it's like, imagine this. When you talk to somebody on the phone that you've never met before, don't you automatically have a picture in your head? It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. I know exactly what Dr. Zimmerman looks like. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Where's Mike? Okay, thank you so much. Any more questions? Thank you, Michael. Any more questions for Jessica?
Got a question over here.
Okay, does someone have a mic to give her? Lauren?
Yes.
Okay.
This question is for Jessica. My name is Claudia. I work at the Office of the Registrar. I'm just picking up on Dr. Cohen's question. Let's say that a student, before he invites his classmate to go out, what can Dr. Cohen do as the instructor, or what we can do as the institution to make sure that legally blind student or partially blind student has a good experience and a fair experience?
That's a
I'm sorry.
very difficult question to ask, and let me tell you why. And it's something that you're not aware that you are doing. You are generalizing blindness. Blind people are individuals, so it depends on the individual that you are talking about. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying that what you're saying is offensive in any way whatsoever. It's not, but I think that it's something that many people who have never had experience with vision problems or low vision or blindness would even be aware of.
May I add to that, Jessica?
Yes.
So I would say, looking at a Berkeley experience, each student that may be visually impaired are going to come to this college with a different set of skills. So we can't assume that someone is going to be comfortable with using assistive technology or be comfortable with getting around the halls or be able to be comfortable traveling independently. So the first thing that we need to do is ask, what do you need help with? How can I assist you? We can't assume that one person's visual loss is the same for everybody, because someone can be visually impaired for 30 years and still cry every day. Or someone could just lose their vision 2 years ago and they don't cry every day. Maybe they cry every other day. You know, so it really depends. I think as a college and an institution, I think the level of awareness is important. This is why you guys are all here, and I'm so grateful that you came. I think you just need to be comfortable human to human. You need to think about the fact that for every student that comes to Berkeley, they want to have a great college experience no matter what their description or disability or socioeconomic status or race or what all those demographics are. We're all students and we want to have friends, we want to date, we want to have sex, we want to do all those things. So when you exclude a person or you assume that they don't want the same as you, meaning a job or vacation or anything like that, that's when it becomes a challenge, okay? So I would just say, as the advocate for people with disabilities on the college campus, I guess my role and our role together as we do this partnership is to see everyone as an individual and not just see the disability. Does that make sense? Agreed. Okay, thank you. Amen. Okay, go ahead, Jessica.
No, that you basically just summed up everything that I was saying and was going to say. That was perfect, yeah.
Okay, I know Karen is freaking out there because of the time, right, Karen? Okay, cool. All right, Jessica, do you have any other final comments?
You know what, I am, number one, thank you to Berkeley for inviting me here today. I love doing things like this, especially with people who are studying to be in the medical profession, because like I was saying earlier, I think that there has to be more of a human experience between the patient and the doctor as opposed to numbers on a blood scale. So that's number one. And number two, if any of you are interested, the clip from the film that you were watching, that is a fabulous film that I wish that I had available when I was losing my sight. It's not just about me, it's about 6 other people who are going through sight loss for different reasons of all different ages. I highly recommend it.
Where can we find that?
It's in our library.
Yep.
Go to the library, Berkeley College.
Yeah.
Get the link online so you can watch it at home, you can watch it when you have time. All of those things are streaming and they're available from our library services online. And the film itself is absolutely fascinating, and that's how this program came to be.
The name of the film
is called Going Blind.
It's called Going Blind, and if you have access to a computer, if you go to the Going Blind website, this has been, ever since the movie premiered in 2010.
Jessica, speak into the mic, please.
I'm so sorry. Am I on? Let me say that again. So the name of the film is Going Blind. And if you go to the Going Blind website, this is a program that has been going on since the film premiered in 2010. It is continuous, the work that they're doing in medical schools, making the community aware, et cetera, and so forth. It is a very valuable resource for everybody, whether you're going through vision loss or not.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jones. I appreciate your presentation. Okay, we have more information for you guys. So our next speaker is going to talk about nutrition. Miss Yvonne Hendricks is an owner of her own healthy living business called Exercise Healthy Nutrition. She's a certified nutritionist, certified nutritionist, and she's also a personal trainer. She has she's acquired a lot of certifications from a lot of sports organizations. She has also spent about 20 years of her life, I know she looks so young, right? She spent 20 years of her life as a newscaster, traveling all over the world trying to promote healthy living. And you know what she did? She taught me how to kickbox. Isn't that awesome? So yeah, she's my kickboxer, personal trainer. She's amazing. So here's Miss Yvonne Hendricks. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. McLennan, for such a warm welcome. Dr. Zimmerman and Jessica Jones for a very inspiring and heartwarming discussion. Okay.
Yvonne, speaking to the mic.
Can you hear me?
Thank
okay. So I'm here today for the Save Our Sight conference, and not to be sounding redundant at all, but I'm sure that we have heard diabetes mellitus is a metabolic disease, and let's take that one slide down. There we go. It's a metabolic disease, and it's a chronic condition associated with high levels of glucose, sugar in the blood. There's an insufficient natural production of the hormone insulin in the body. Diabetes is, in fact, stage 1 of diabetic retinopathy, and left untreated and unmanaged or even undetected, it will progress into stage 2, which is called non-proliferative, or stage 3, known as proliferative, thereby causing blindness. So why did I get involved in nutrition? Why did I even get involved in wanting to be physically fit or exercise? So at the age of 18, I made a very mindful choice that I would be a vegetarian and concentrate on food and exercise science as a lifestyle. It was 1985, and I had just read a book called Fit for Life. It was written by a husband and wife team called the Diamonds, and it altered my perception of animal meat forever. So as the multi-billion-dollar fast food industry was just beginning to carve out their niche on our human health and grow in popularity for convenience, and the 99-cent meal was appealing to most, I boycotted it. How could I possibly be hungry an hour later after I had just finished consuming their signature meal? And everyone remembers this that is at least close to my age. 2 roll beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun with a large fries and Coke. It made no sense to me. Something was wrong, or at least I thought so. So I began to research about food science. I also wanted to understand why I was always thirsty, and I had a terrible case of heartburn after I had just finished indulging in an Italian deli hero sandwich with the finest of processed sodium-enriched cold cuts like pepperoni, sopressata, capocollo, mozzarella, mortadella. You guys might be getting hungry now, I don't know. So I began to collect data on macronutrients and the relationship that carbohydrates and proteins have on energy within the body, and the way that excessive salt intake affects blood pressure. I began to research what saturated fat fillers and sugar additives were inside fast food burgers. I often splurged on a copy of Vegetarian Times and Psychology Today to feed my interests of cleaner eating and an altered belief system. After all, both my maternal Italian grandmother and paternal Polish grandmother had diabetes. Cioci, the Polish word for aunt, grandma's sister, also went blind from untreated diabetes and most likely had proliferative diabetic retinopathy. And being the youngest female of 27 first cousins, I observed a thing or two about the relationship between one's emotion and the selection of the food process. There was no such thing as pasta day. We ate macaroni before almost every dinner, main course, and bread and wine was always on the dinner table. We never had to question if the sauce was called gravy. It was loaded with every piece of fine pork, beef, and homemade meatballs. So if both sets of grandparents have or had diabetes, you'd assume you'd also get it. We can define what we are predisposed to by taking control of what and when we choose to feed ourselves on a daily basis, what type of activities we engage in on a regular basis, and how we manage external situations penetrating our mindset. A CBT, Cognitive Brain Technique, scientific journal, which was published by Professor Jason Satterfield, states that our genetics only make up about 30% of our overall health, and social behavior patterns accounting for over about 55% combined, environment about 5%, and healthcare and medicine at roughly only 10%. He suggests that we first have to reprogram our minds and put a value on our own health and rate it on a scale of maybe 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important. And then do this for the other few aspects of our life that are important to us, like our family, our jobs, partner, education. So most of us value earning money and or how many likes that are earned on social media more than our actual own health. Yet there are certain inherent habits that we've developed since childhood. We wake up and we brush our teeth every day, and certain patterns have been developed and ingrained. But when we become teenagers and then an adult, structure seems conforming and restricting. So we begin to bypass basic guidelines and eventually have no framework for routine health success. We remain on a quest for freedom and all responsibilities. Our minds begin to become a little deceptive, and emotion takes over rather than pure logic. Yet in my experience and practice, consistency is the very essence that helps measure progress. So basically, we need to change behaviors. Genetics and our culture may define our past, but it does not have to dictate our future. Through such CBT understanding, we can learn to set up what is referred to as SMART goals in order to self-manage our results. In relationship to food management, we need to be specific about what we want to achieve. We need to be able to measure and assess it. And it needs to be relevant to the strategy, and then it needs to be timely. It's important to concentrate more on the process as opposed to the outcome. Maintain a daily food journal in the beginning to take general inventory of what you're actually eating and the time of day that you're consuming it. It can help you become very smart. Jot down what emotion you may or may not have had before or after the food ingestion. Then jot it down if you've done any exercise for that day. At the end of the day or the week, you will in fact be able to reflect upon your overall productivity and assess your overall progress. Once we practice the habit of daily self-control and kindness to ourselves, we're able to reduce cravings, and then we eat with less anxiety and attitude distortion. So it's a matter then of what? Balancing your overall perspective. What connects you to a greater meaning? And what connects your physical health to a greater meaning? You need to find meaning, you need to find purpose, and you need to find value. My dad died last year from a massive stroke, and he was in a 10-day coma. But I'm not sharing this with you for any other reason other than to help you understand what transpired between my siblings and the attitude between my soon-to-be 80-year-old mother, who'd be a widow, after 56 years of marriage. Ma struggled with diabetes for years, and it progressed into type 1 a few years ago, requiring her to take pharmacological drugs like Januvia and Novolog, insulin, and Coreg to also help regulate high blood pressure. Like most of us in stressful situations, all she wanted to indulge in while Dad lay there motionless was eating to gain a feeling of satiety, foods like fried chicken, French fries, and a big bowl of macaroni, otherwise known as many comfort foods. With stress and grief and anxiety issues, sugar levels escalated to 300, and I knew such danger zones would lead to a potential cardiac arrest and or stroke. I said to her, "Ma, do you realize that you're creating an extra burden upon us because you refuse to take care of yourself? You're liable to go into cardiac arrest if you don't find a meaning still for your existence here. What you do and how you take care of yourself affects all of us." She could have chosen to be selfish and not care, but didn't. We all respond to stress and pain differently. What are some ways we respond? Smoking, chocolate, cookies, alcohol. It doesn't make it wrong, it just reminds us that the choices that we make and the ways that we choose to communicate these messages to ourselves is in fact the determining factor that contributes to additional onset issues like depression, autoimmune disease, heart disease, chronic obsessive pulmonary disorders, obesity. I should also mention that diabetes does not only affect obese individuals. You can be diagnosed with diabetes as an underweight person also. A skill set needs to be developed where a certain tempting stimulus is either controlled or in fact omitted. And there needs to be some type of automaticity to the self-management system that gets put in place. Professor Stephen Novella of Yale School of Medicine published a book called The Deceptive Mind. And in it, he supports the use of critical thinking skills as a scientific guide in understanding how the mind is always in a debate with one's own emotions and how our brain tries to deceive us. But we need to get out of the contemplative mode into the action phase and then ultimately into a program that works for us. What might once seem like a major change may eventually soon become habitual. I'm happy and proud to share that Ma is following a better meal program that I helped design for her, and her A1C level is down to 6.1. She still struggles with coping skills to counteract the food addiction, but she shows major improvement in her overall well-being. So then what's the motivation to do this and stick with it on a daily basis? We need to regulate, as Dr. Zimmerman has already mentioned, we need to regulate our glycemic levels. And this then becomes our treatment and prevention against diabetes. So what is glycemic index? The rise in a person's blood sugar level 2 hours after consumption of food. Glycemic effect of food has to do with the type of carbohydrate and proteins ingested in each meal, thereby assessing the insulin response. Such management is essential in avoiding diabetic retinopathy. In my experience and practice in several case studies, I have found that people by nature know that they shouldn't eat pizza every single day or indulge in a whole box of cookies at one single time. But humans live in a constant punishment and reward phase far too long and become what can be referred to as adolescent adults. They justify their choices based upon the circumstances occurring in their lives. They'll get a review from their PCP, primary care physician, which is unfavorable. And like a total surprise, they'll either be told they're overweight or have advanced hyperlipidemia, which is another case for high cholesterol, or diabetes. But if you haven't prepared for the exam, I say, why expect a different result? I've already spoken about setting up certain CBT SMART goals, but I'd like to give you all an additional toolbox with additional tools showing ways to start building a system for preventing diabetes, or at least reversing the progression of it. At the end of my discussion today, if you pay attention, you'll be able to build your very own healthy lifestyle and start unlocking the keys to your very own healthy future. So, just by a show of hands, I'm curious to know how many of you actually ate breakfast today? All right, that's pretty good. That's about 80%, I'm going to say. How many of you actually ate lunch today? Okay, that's a little bit better. And how many of you had dinner last night? Okay, so that's about almost 100%. So it seems as though everybody's eating dinner, mostly. So why did I even question that? First and foremost, skipping meals, people, it's not an option. Skipping meals or snacks is not an option, nor is it a negotiable format when attempting to regulate your blood glucose. So I'm going to help you simplify the process, and simplifying the process and help you figure out when and what to eat. So, first rule, SMART strategy rule number 1. Eat every 3 to 4 hours, hungry or not. Our body is like a fine-tuned machine if we take care of it. As I said before, we humans now take better care and give more attention to our technology than we take care of our own health. So let's read this one together. I ask all of you to read it together. Eat every 3 to 4 hours, hungry or not. If you remember one thing today, When you leave, let it be that, because that in fact will help you balance your glycemic levels. Do the math, figure out how many hours a day you are awake, and then divide it by the 3 or 4 hour increment for how many times a day you should in fact be consuming food. There's many ways to be successful at this. In today's world, we have numerous apps, alarms on smartphones. I like to refer to another behavior technique as the whole PIE. Be practical in your food selection and bear in mind informational resources and nutrient values that will be listed on packaging so that you don't always eat out of emotion. It's the same system that you'd use in setting up a support system of friends to help you through some of the process. We all have people in our lives that we think of as practical support, and those that are informational and those that support our emotions. Try to communicate a supportive methodology to oneself that will feed for you all 3 of the CBT effect, which I like to call the whole piece of pie. And it's quite a good acronym, knowing that Thanksgiving, in fact, is coming up. Okay, so what in fact is then the SMART strategy rule number 2? Always combine a protein with a carbohydrate. A donut is not a meal. A cup of coffee is not a meal. A bagel is not a meal. A bag of chips is not a meal. It's rather simple, and Lucio Crisal, a registered dietitian that I studied under, phrased, if it walks, swims, or flies, it's a protein. Chicken, fish, turkey, all sources of protein. But we need to remember the benefits of vegetarian and proteins such as beans, nuts, and greens. We gain enriched vitamins and minerals and digestive enzymes in these plant-based food sources, not to mention that these also help to reduce the CO2 footprint on the environment and climate, but that's another whole topic of conversation. SMART strategy rule number 3. American Diabetes Association set up a certain type of formula to help us understand what macronutrients in fact even are. So memorize exchanges of macronutrients as being the following. 1 protein exchange equals 7 grams or 1 ounce. 1 carbohydrate exchange equals 15 grams. 1 fat exchange equals 5 grams. So although Dr. Walter Kempner, who came up with the rice diet back in the late 1930s and then offered it to several diabetic patients in the 1950s, he fed them nothing but rice, sugar, and fruit. Quite surprising, at least for today's standards. But here's the interesting thing. It actually healed several of the diabetic patients by drastically reducing their blood glucose levels. The body required supplements since it was starved of enriched vitamins like B and D and other resources of micronutrients that were in fact not being given to the patients. So what does it mean? It means we can't deprive the body of essential resources of optimum energy to fuel the body. Nor can we deprive the human body from sodium, which helps regulate the fluids in the body, or monounsaturated fat grams, which aid in the reduction of LDL, low-density lipoproteins, and help lower heart disease. We are human. We do not have to eat in such a large quantity the way restaurants serve portions and store it as fat the way cavemen did. In contrast, don't be fooled by celebrities promoting IF, known as intermittent fasting, to get in shape for the Oscars or a recent movie role. A process of gluconeogenesis takes place during fasting, and one's own lactate in the muscles become the purest resource of energy. Although a sense of alertness is felt and weight loss is the initial result since it uses ketones as energy, it would be difficult to sustain the path of such ketosis in a lifelong lifestyle. The body is thereby naturally prone to diabetic tendencies when it enters hyper or hypoglycemia too often. I'm teaching you long-term strategies for prevention, as well as prevention towards many other diseases that plague our society. So we have some food combinations. To the left, you'll see proteins. To the right, you'll see carbohydrates. So you might recognize proteins as being 2 to 3 ounces of chicken, 2 to 3 ounces of salmon, 2 to 3 ounces of turkey breast. And not just curious to know if you guys are actually paying attention. 1 ounce equals what? 7 grams. So if you're eating 2 ounces, it's 14 grams. If you're eating 3 ounces, it's how much? 21. So that's what you want to ingest for a meal, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Other sources of protein would be 1 cup of lentils or 10 to 15 almonds as a snack or 1 boiled egg. And you would combine it with an actual carbohydrate. Some other choices: 1 baked sweet potato has a tremendous amount of vitamin C. 1 cup of quinoa, which has both carbohydrate and protein whole grain value. 1 slice of whole grain toast. You could combine an apple with the boiled egg. You could combine a cup of the berries with your 10 to 15 almonds. After a while, certain food combinations will in fact become very habitual. So you want to try to do this broiled, grilled, or baked, not fried. Fried foods add to the fat and caloric content, which raises blood pressure. It also contributes to high cholesterol and osteoarthritis. You want to try to drink 8 ounces of water with each meal or snack instead of soda or juice. It's not up here, but there's another bonus rule, which is when choosing carbohydrates, you want to try to avoid one where the sugar content is more than 20% of the overall carbohydrate value. So if you guys look on the back of a soda can, or if you guys look on the back of an iced tea bottle, sometimes it'll show you that the bottle in fact is 2 portions or 3 portions. So the sugar content would in fact be what? 3 portions as well. I've used this example with a variety of patients and asked them to juice an orange and assess how much juice you get. To equal 8 ounces, you'd probably have to juice 4 oranges, which means 4 times the amount of carbohydrate exchange and 4 times the amount of sugar. So juices and soda are empty calories that are adding to the excess sugar in the overall bloodstream. So it's about smarter food choices. We can identify with that. So what do we want to do? We want to basically avoid food glycemic spikes. We talked about soda, juice, or flavored coffees as adding to sugar in the excess bloodstream. Fried foods we want to avoid. We want to try to avoid fast food. Yeah, I know it's probably the staple of many people's diet nowadays, and it's sad. Avoid food glycemic spikes with white rice and white bread. Also limit your overall red meat and packaged foods. So the smarter choices would be to try to drink water every single time that you do ingest your food. Baked, grilled, or steamed, you want to attempt to try to cook at home. You'll also save a lot more money. Whole grain, fish, chicken, turkey, vegetables, and you want to buy fresh produce whenever possible. So it's not always about exercise, but movement is the marriage to healthy nutrition. When I shared offer space with a physician in the boroughs of Bronx and Queens, I did a few case studies of my own and treated diabetic patients with both offices with proper food meal plans. And although all patients from both offices showed significant glucose improvement, through altered diet alone, patients from the Bronx location showed significantly better results using exercise equipment combined with smarter food choices. Healthy nutrition, in addition to proper daily exercise, was in fact the underlying factor toward continued regulation of sugar levels. Socrates once said that no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training, and it is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and the strength of which the body is capable. Activity is essential, but it's become difficult in today's world of overconsumption and hired help for household tasks. I had a conversation with an 89-year-old the other day. I asked her how she's doing. She said, you know how I stay young? I clean my own house. I wash my own car. I mow my own lawn. I rake my own leaves. I shovel my own snow. I plant my own tomatoes. And I feel really good about it, having done it myself. Her lawn, by the way, supersedes everyone on the block because she also does her own weeding. The key is to stay active daily. The daily activities of life are essential. They're essential to our well-being. Through optimum performance training techniques under National Academy of Sports Medicine for special populations, I learned a variety of systems that can work well to treat many diseases such as arthritis, hypertension, obesity. And for the sake of focusing on diabetic retinopathy and the prevention of it, we want to start with the MFIDR factor as being mode, frequency, intensity, duration, and resistance. So the activity guidelines for a diabetic, or if you want to prevent diabetes from taking place in your own life and you want to be in a gym, use a stationary bike, a cycling machine, a treadmill, or walk. Even dance. Remember those days when everybody would go out dancing? That's also an activity. That's exercise, people. You're burning calories and you're having fun at the same time. Frequency, you want to attempt to try to do that type of activity for 4 to 7 times a week. Intensity, 50 to 90% of the maximum heart rate. So to achieve that, basically, you'd be taking 220, you minus your age, and then you would be multiplying it by either 50%, 60%, 70, or 80, or even 90%. That number, in fact, then would be the rate at which that your heart beats, okay? Then your duration, you want to have a 2-minute warm-up, 20 to 60-minute interval of the overall exercise, and then a 2-minute cool down. Your resistance would be circuit training, lightweight, or higher reps. And you always want to keep a small snack on hand, boiled egg, small apple, to avoid sudden hypoglycemia. So, in summary, for today's Save Our Sight, through exercise, healthy nutrition for preventative medicine. What did we talk about today? We talked about attempting to try to change behavior patterns, and you want to try to defy your overall genetics. We talked about balancing perspective and beginning to value your health on a daily basis. We talked about trying to use smart strategy rules and always benefiting from managing your glycemic index. Remember those rules? Eat every 3 to 4 hours, whether you're hungry or not. Always combine a protein with a carbohydrate. Then you want to combine, and you want to make food combinations very habitual. And then you want to remember or try to actually do daily activities that are not always considered exercise by the gym category. You don't have to spend 2 to 3, 4, 5 hours in the gym. Your healthy lifestyle begins today, and I hope that you take with you the tools that I've taught you today to start building your very own disease prevention against diabetic retinopathy and other diseases mentioned today. I'd like to wish all of you a very healthy upcoming holiday season, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to connect with you and to remind you we are in this world together, and that the choices that we make on a daily basis make an impact on us for the rest of our lives. Thank you.
Hang on. So thank you very much, Yvonne. I'm going to ask you to stay up here for 1 second. You know, we did promise you a few more giveaways, so we don't break our promises. This is Berkeley College. So we have another giveaway, which is going to be also from Two Blind Brothers. We're trying to promote them. Actually, Ellen DeGeneres, they were on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and they do fashion marketing and various things. So we're going to do the T-shirt thing. Then we're going to take Q&A from Yvonne's lecture. Then we have Dr. Cooney, who's here from Vitreous Retina Macula Consultants of New York. And we also have some vendors who are going to speak to us. And if anytime you get a little hungry, you can take a snack. I see there's some snack left back there. So if you are seated in row 10 and you are closest to the coat rack, so hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're closest to the coat rack, you can come up and pick up your T-shirt. Come right up. There you go. Oh, to keep me honest, what does it say here? T-shirt, row 10, closest to the coat rack. I never saw this woman before in my life. Hold on a second. It's true. So hang on 1 second. Ma'am, what is your name?
Stephanie Cato.
Stephanie Cato. And do you work here? Are you a student here? You do. You work here. You're a faculty member.
Yes, I am.
That's right. Well, I'll tell everyone. There you go.
Thank
so, if you would like to open this and...
Yeah.
You know, you could raffle it off later in class. People will give good student reviews, right? We recycle. There we go. So thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okey-doke. Thank you. So do we have questions for Ms. Hendricks about nutrition? Do you have any questions, pressing questions? We have a question back there.
Hi. Hi. This is awkward. Can you hear me? Check, check. Oh, hey.
No, change your mind?
No, I don't like microphone.
Okay, I can hear you fine.
I hope so. I can speak louder.
I can too. Hi, Jack. I'm sorry, what's your major?
That's
Okay.
my department. Go right ahead. Okie doke. We'll come back to you. Any other questions? I want you to know that I do watch what you eat when I'm on campus. And I'm going to be monitoring the food combinations of the group. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I am a diabetic. I have a very loud voice. I can talk that. I am a diabetic, and I belong to the Diabetes Prevention Program Outcome Study. I became a diabetic in this study, so I know a little bit more of how to do things. But my thing is eating breakfast in the morning. I cannot seem to eat breakfast at all in the morning. It's no time. I have to be here at 9:30. I didn't want a 9:30 class because that cuts in to my eating time, but I took it because that's when it was only offered. And I don't know, I mean, what can I do quickly? Like as I'm running out the door, what can I grab quickly? I do bring lunch, but what can I grab quickly to eat before I
Okay.
come to school?
Sure, okay. It's a good question. What's your name?
June.
June. Okay, a lot of people have the same question. Getting into a habit or a schedule because you want to be out the door, go to work, go to school. It's about attempting to try to do things consistently. So think of it like this. If you're needing to catch a bus, if you're needing to catch a train, boil for the week a dozen eggs. Okay? It's perfect. A dozen eggs. A little egg has its own perfect little shell. It has its own perfect little carry case in it, and it's natural. Okay? So one boiled egg with a small piece of fruit could, in fact, be something that you would ingest, and it would hold you, technically, for 2 to 3 hours. And have a cup of tea with that. Right? That's an option. If you didn't want to do that, you could also take some oatmeal, a quarter cup of it. You could put it in a bowl. You could put a quarter cup of water in it, put it in the microwave for at least 60 seconds. How long would it take you to ingest oatmeal? You're done in 60 seconds. So I've given you 2 examples, and very often several patients, several clients say, I have no time to do this. Well, I'm going to ask you, who sets the rules? Who makes the clock? Yes, you have a job. Yes, you have to be somewhere. But food can become portable if you start to think of it as your medicine. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, you remembered now, Jack. What is it? So I would always recommend steaming vegetables. However, raw food, when it's washed, is actually one of the best choices because you're getting in its whole form. But there's very contradictory opinions regarding that with many scientists. Because we now live in a world with so many pesticides, and everyone is touching our fruit. When you go to buy a piece of fruit, there's a little sticker on your apple. When you go buy an orange, there's a sticker on your orange. You buy a banana, there's a sticker on your orange. You know, food is being handled by several people. So steamed took away some of the overall raw nutritional value, but it was in fact burning off a lot of toxicities and pesticides. So I would say that steamed is probably the better choice compared to it being fried. Okay?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So just prior to our vendors presenting, we have Dr. Michael Cooney, who is a member of the Vitreous Retina Macula Consultants of New York. And I have to tell you, those of you who know me in health services management, you know I'm a nurse, but also I was and am a lawyer. And we used to represent and defend the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. So I'm extraordinarily picky about eyes. And so when I all of a sudden had a little flash that was not lightning from the world, it was lightning from inside my eye, I thought, who would be the best people to work on my vision and to save my vision? And I chose Dr. Cooney's partnership because, when you defend doctors in hospitals for 20 years, you become very picky. So Dr. Cooney is going to talk with us a little bit about his background. He's a practicing vitreoretinal surgeon who was previously an assistant professor of ophthalmology at Johns Hopkins University. He's been the director of the Medical Retina Service, the Duke Center for Macular Degeneration. He's had a medical retinal fellowship from 2001 to 2005. He's been in practice here a very long time. He went to the Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons, which is a very prestigious retina program. He's a consultant, he's published, he works in the pharmaceutical industry. His clinical practice focuses on medical and surgical treatment of vitreoretinal diseases. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Particular age-related macular degeneration and diabetic retinopathy. And he's working on various research tools to improve people's treatment and save their sight. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Cooney, and in between Dr. Cooney and the Q&A, we will have another giveaway. So please stay with us.
Thank you. Thank you for that very lengthy introduction. So despite all that schooling and all the lecturing I've done, I think in conjunction with our last lecture that we just heard, there's one class I must have not attended during school. And I actually think about this commonly, and that is the question of how do you eat well? How do you grocery shop? Who here in this room feels that they know the answer to that all the time very well? I don't. And that's despite all the schooling I've had. I want to thank you on your last lecture, which I thought was one of the most comprehensive, important lectures I have ever heard with regards to how your emotional being plays in with your physical being, which ties into your wellness and your health. You just heard the answer to healthcare and health and wellness. Not what I'm going to talk to you about, which is end-stage disease, which is where our medical society is focused on. We take care of end-stage disease. What you just heard about is how do we prevent it? But it's very similar to how do you eat well? I thought a bagel is a meal. And I think everyone else in this room did too. I'm not the only one, right? I mean, everyone kind of groaned and said, shoot, I ate that this morning. But it's true. So thank you for that. That was amazing. All right, we're going to go rapid fire here, okay? We're going to talk about the eye. The eye is this little nuanced little organ that everyone kind of knows about, but it's really kind of hard to understand. So I'm going to try to give it to you in a really quick way so you understand how diabetes affects the eye. We're going to use some analogies and things like that, so bear with me, but it's a very slide-intensive presentation, so I think you got to look to the right there, okay? So I'm going to skip over who I am. You heard enough about that. That's our practice. We got a couple offices. I don't know which doctor you saw, but I'm sure they... Oh, Dr. Sorensen. He's near and dear to my heart, too. Okay, so this is a common conversation I encounter daily. Person comes in and says, patient sitting in front of me, I have a touch of diabetes. What are your sugars? Oh, the sugars were normal this morning. It's always what it is. I kind of mean, what's your A1C? They can't answer that most of the time, hence that question. Ask what the A1C is. They don't know what that is usually. They say they exercise, yet they're 30 pounds overweight. They say they have a little bit of foot numbness. They feel they see just fine, no problems. They're here because they need glasses. Last time they had their eyes examined, well, they had glasses checked 2 years ago, and that's not a full eye exam. A full eye exam is a dilated eye exam. Who's taking care of your diabetes? I don't know his or her name. They tell me everything's okay. I don't know why I even here and why I'm seeing you. I just need reading glasses. And we look in their eye, and I haven't showed you a picture of a normal retina, but this is a picture of the retina that is somebody who has 20/20 vision, that is on the precipice of going blind from all the scar tissue which is surrounding it there. And that person's going to go downhill very, very soon, and they have no idea that's happening. Now, that took years and years and years to get there. It's just we're looking today and finally seeing that. Okay, so here's the take-home message. Any blood sugar problem, that person needs a dilated eye examination immediately by an ophthalmologist or a retina specialist, not just an eyeglass check. You can have serious eye disease on the precipice of going blind without any change in their vision. Don't rely on our pill society, hence everything I'm going to talk to you about right now. You want to focus on what Yvonne was talking about a few minutes ago, which is harder to do. Behavior modification is the single hardest thing to do. Take care of yourself, exercise, weight loss, eat well, don't smoke. All right, so diabetes is a huge growing public health problem. This is the front page of the New York Times almost 20 years ago. If we look at the incidence of diabetes mellitus in the country, any area that is dark orange, the darker the color, the higher levels of diabetes. And I could show you a picture of the same map from 20 years ago, and you would see lots more areas of white. What's happened is clearly with the obesity epidemic, diabetes has just taken off through the roof. And this is partly why, right? It's really easy. This is your average street corner in anywhere, town, USA, okay? It's easy to eat poorly. Diabetes affects lots of different conditions. We're going to talk about just the eye today, but it affects the brain, the heart, the kidneys. Diabetes, simply stated, affects the tiny little capillaries in your body, your normal smallest little blood vessels. You have them in your eye, which is the only place you can actually see them, but you have them everywhere else in your body. So what I'm going to show you is going on in the eye today is going on in every other tissue in the body. Kidneys, heart, brain, feet. Patients need to know their A1C. Most of them don't know that. They need to control their blood pressure and their lipids and cholesterol, very important things that their medical doctor needs to work with them on. All right, ready? We're going to go through the eye really quickly. The eye is like you all need to vote on this, washing machine, phone, camera, iron. Who said iron? I heard someone say iron. All right, it's like a camera, exactly. There's no difference between a camera and the eye. The cornea of the lens focus light to a pinpoint focus on the retina, which is the film of the camera. Once that light hits the retina is an electrical organ like an electrical grid. It takes that light, turns it into electricity, goes through these little cells like a grid, ultimately through the nerve in the eye, carries the electrical signal to your brain, and in your brain is where vision actually occurs. You do not see with your eye, you see with your brain. The eye is just a thing to take light and an image and get it to electrical signal into your brain. So the retina is like the film of a camera. No one really probably knows what this is. This is film from a camera from many years ago, okay? So if I dilate your eye and look into you, this is what we actually see. This orange thing, it's really pretty. It's very artistic. This is your retina. The retina is orange like this. Let's go through what these things are. So that's the optic nerve or the vision nerve that connects the eye to the brain. These are the normal arteries and veins that bring blood and oxygen to the retina to keep it nourished, oxygenated, etc. It is these blood vessels that get damaged in diabetes and will cause everything we're going to talk about, and all the vision problems are all caused by damage to these small, small little capillaries. Now, everything here looks huge on this picture. The diameter of that nerve, that little white round thing, is 1.5 millimeters. Okay, we're talking about things that are tiny, tiny, tiny. This is the macula, the part of your retina that's responsible for your straight ahead vision. Think of it like a dartboard, and then the bullseye, that's where your finest vision happens. So seeing faces, watching TV, reading, all happen right there. This is a normal looking retina. And again, the macula is like a dartboard. So if we cut the retina and look at it from a cross-sectional perspective, I said a minute ago it's like an electrical grid made up of millions and millions of vision cells that are all highly organized in all these layers like a layered cake that process the electrical signal and make vision happen. So if I disturb the architecture of this retina, sort of like taking a hose and putting it in a cake and turning the hose on, well, the layers of that cake get all disorganized, get all disturbed. It doesn't work. It doesn't taste like a cake. Similarly, with diabetes, one of the major things we're going to see is this organization of this retina gets all disturbed from fluid that's not supposed to be there, blood that's not supposed to be there, cholesterol that's not supposed to be there, disorganizes it. If the grid's disorganized, electricity doesn't flow, vision does not work. There's your electrical grid again, all the vision cells. Remember in science class, the rods and cones? Who heard about those once before? Okay, the guy in the back heard of those. Those are some of the most important vision cells in this millions of vision cells. They're the ones that produce the electrical signal to start it. We can look at the retina a couple different ways. We can dilate the eye and look at it, but we can also look at it from an angiogram. We can inject dye into the vein and take pictures of the retina. And this is the retina with dye injected into it, showing that the normal arteries and veins get filled with this dye. Now, it looks pretty similar to the picture I just showed you, except it's black and white. The point is, since these blood vessels aren't damaged, like a hose that's not damaged, the dye is held within the hose, so there's no leaking of the dye onto the sidewalk. Here is a picture. So your retina is kind of, put it this way, the retina is kind of like a branching tree. It starts out with pretty big blood vessels, and they get narrow, 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 just like this tree gets narrow, narrow, narrow. If a wind or hurricane is going to come in and hit this tree, what's the first part of that tree that's going to get damaged? What's that? The branches. What about the stems, right? The finest stems. It's not the tree trunk or the branches. Yeah, they may get hit first, but it's the finest, most vulnerable things. And we're going to see in diabetes that the finest little vulnerable things, which is all these little tiny little things in here, are the things that get damaged first. So this is some of those little tiny little capillaries. Guys, this is the smallest capillaries in the body. This is where your finest little blood vessels are. It looks big here, but they're really, 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 really tiny. Fractions and fractions and fractions of the size of a human hair. Doesn't take much to damage them. So here is a picture of that same picture of someone with diabetes. Does it look like the same picture I just showed you? No, there's all this white stuff that's kind of fuzzing out all over the place because the blood vessels have been damaged. Like a hose that's been damaged, it's not holding the dye in it, it's leaking out around it. And all these little fine capillaries are severely damaged. And this is an eye that's really has a setup really to go on to have serious vision problems. All right. So this is a retina looked at from a sideways perspective, okay? It has a thickness. These are all the vision cells. This is the bullseye where I told you before where the finest vision happens. This is a normal looking retina, and this is called an OCT, a test we can get in the office very quickly. This is an OCT of someone with diabetes. Do you see a difference? It's supposed to be this thick, and look how thick this is. See all this big black stuff here? That's fluid that's not supposed to be there that leaked out into the retina from damage to diabetes. Remember I told you before, if anything disorganizes this retina, disorganizes the layers, as we see here, that's going to translate into vision not working well. And this is called diabetic macular edema, or hence diabetic retinal swelling. So let's talk about diabetes and diabetic retinopathy. We categorize it, when we look in someone's eye, by mild to moderate to severe. And what we mean by that is how close are you from having very significant blinding related complications from diabetes. And we grade that really by how many little hemorrhages we see in the retina, how much cholesterol, this yellow stuff is cholesterol that's leaked out. These are blood vessels that are growing abnormally. See these little fine things that are like little wispy things here? Or massive bleeding. Okay, this stuff is the stuff that causes massive vision loss. So we put you on a continuum, are you a mild, a medium, or severe amount, and that depends, determines whether we're going to see you back anytime soon or whether or not we need to start treatment. Again, mild amount, a couple hemorrhages, medium, moderate amount, more severe amount. You got a lot of stuff going on here. We talked about the follow-up. So here we are with treatment for diabetic retinopathy 2018. So first of all, patients have to control their blood sugars. We've heard about that probably all day. Blood pressure as well, cholesterol, lipids, things like that. This is the single most important one. This is the talk you just heard. Lifestyle modification. If I was to write a prescription for someone with diabetes, this is what I would tell them. You need to exercise regularly. You need to lose weight. You need to eat well. And if you do these things, we might be able to stop this house from falling off a cliff. But if all these things are out of control, the analogy I'll say to a patient is, you're stepping on the gas pedal, I'm trying to step on the brake, we're really not going to go very far with that car. So how does diabetes in the eye actually happen? And the reason I'm going to talk to you about this is the medicines we use to treat diabetes are targeted for why it happens in the first place. So here are some of the biological reasons why someone develops diabetes. So when you get these little capillary problems here, what happens is diabetes affects the capillaries and causes them to shut down. If you got a capillary that's shut down, that tissue is getting more or less oxygen. Less. It's not getting enough oxygen. So your body says, hey, guess what? I'm not getting enough oxygen in this area. Let me release some little growth factors, little molecules that we've identified, that will promote blood vessels to grow into that area to solve that problem. We got to grow a new blood vessel in there to solve the problem for the other one being closed. And those little growth factors are things that we call vascular endothelial growth factor. They are molecules that exist everywhere in your body, and it's a major part of how you heal, whether you get a cut in your hand, have a heart attack, or what have you. They are important. But in the eye, they become upregulated due to diabetic damage, and they cause more harm than they help. So think of these little growth factors like fertilizer that we put on a weed. So these little growth factors kind of circulate around, they land on blood vessel cells, and they tell those blood vessel cells to grow into an abnormal blood vessel and become very leaky. And these are the things that cause the vision loss. We have medicines that are approved by the FDA for this, Lucentis, Eylea, and then we have off-label Avastin, which are basically medicines that are approved by the FDA to combat diabetic eye disease. And the way they work is they are sort of like magnets. We inject them into the eye, and if we think of these little growth factors as little iron filings that are floating around and we inject a magnet in there, that magnet's going to suck up all the iron filings so they can't really fall on the floor because they're stuck to the magnet. They're kind of removed from the area. Hence that. So when we inject these medicines into the eye, they bind to these little growth factors. The growth factors are not free to then bind to a cell, and then all those bad things can't happen. Make sense? Okay. So again, it's sort of like weed killer. We spray a weed, it goes from being nice and green to kind of, you take the fertilizer away, so to speak, it turns brown and regresses into an inactive situation, which is hence stability of the disease. We give these medicines as the little injection into the eye, which as you can see here, which sounds horrible. It's actually very simple. It doesn't hurt me at all to do it. Kidding. But actually, believe it or not, the white part of your eye does not have many nerve endings. So this is actually done in 1 second. It doesn't really hurt, and it takes about a second to do. So that's how we inject it in there. And the medicine lasts for about a month. It does its thing. It usually controls things pretty well, but then it wears off. And guess what? We got to inject it again. So this is a medicine that's given monthly for the foreseeable future because diabetes keeps giving, and we kind of need to keep giving this too. This is an example of what happens. That's how we do that. You all heard of laser treatment for diabetes as well. Laser has been a standard of care treatment for about 50 years. We use it less and less now that we have more medical treatments for this. The medicines we just talked about work better. But laser still has a role to play where we use little micro burns to the retina to kind of cauterize certain areas that are leaking and to help, actually it helps to decrease the production of those little molecules we were talking about before. So it's still a treatment, although we use it less and less. So let's look at a couple things. So this is diabetic macular edema, the swelling we were talking about. Again, this picture shows a normal looking retina over here, but in the center, you got all that black stuff there. That's fluid that's not supposed to be there, and that person's vision is declining. This is the most common reason why people with diabetes don't see well is macular swelling. So here we go. Think of it like, again, normal blood vessels are a hose that doesn't have a leak. In diabetes, the hoses get beat up and develop leaks, so suddenly you got this fluid leaking out there into places where it's not supposed to be. All this little white stuff here is leakage of fluid into the retina where it's not supposed to be. Takes a normal retina, which looks like this, and turns it into one that looks like that. Okay? The vision cells are not talking to each other because there's fluid between them, hence vision doesn't work well. People lose vision. So this is a patient. This is someone with, I would say, severe non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. You can see the nerve here. These are little hemorrhages. We kind of get a sense of how much they have. This is someone with severe retinopathy. Here's their OCT. You can see this is normal, but in the center part here, this is big white area on the top of our map. That's swelling. So we inject the person with medicines over a couple-month period, and this is what they start to look like. Okay, it doesn't happen immediately, but you can see that the swelling is significantly reduced, and that's what we're aiming to do. Here we are a couple months later. That swelling is resolved. Okay, that took a combination of medicines as an injection plus laser to kind of get this result. Just because they're better does not mean we don't follow them. We need to continue to follow this person and treat them as necessary. And of course, telling them you need to control your diabetes in conjunction with this because that's a big part of this equation. Here's another patient. Again, this is someone who's had some laser. These are little laser scars from prior laser. These little white things here are little damage to the blood vessels that are called microaneurysms that cause leaking. Again, you see these little black circles here. This is someone with a mild to moderate amount of swelling, but nonetheless, that's not good to have there. Again, after injections, such as after one or two treatments, we can see that swelling starting to resolve. I'm going to close by talking about the thing that causes most of the vision loss in people with diabetes is what's called proliferative diabetic retinopathy. What I mean by that is the worst thing that can happen is what I talked about before. Because there's so much circulation damage to the retina from diabetes and the retina is not getting enough oxygen, it releases all these molecules that says, hey, grow a new blood vessel here to help solve this problem. It's these blood vessels that start to grow on the surface of the retina that don't solve the problem. Those blood vessels ultimately can cause scar tissue creation and ultimately can cause bleeding, and that's the stuff that people go blind with from diabetic retinopathy, is this particular thing. Luckily, this is a relatively late stage problem, but this is the thing that causes most of the vision loss. So here we are. This is somebody, if we look at the nerve, see these little fine little wispy things here? Those are blood vessels growing abnormally. Again, this person does not know they have this happening. Their vision's fine until suddenly the bomb explodes and they suddenly can't see, just like that. Here's some more blood vessels growing abnormally. And ultimately what happens is this starts to bleed. And you suddenly get blood floating in the gel part of your eye, which is normally clear, suddenly turns red. You can't see through that. And ultimately that can cause scar tissue creation. The scar tissue contracts and pulls the retina off the back wall there, and that's called a retinal detachment, which is not a good problem to have. And this is what someone might see as they're trying to look through that blood. They're looking out into the image. They can't see the kids' faces. There's these big black spots there. How do we treat that today? Well, we use the same medicine I just told you about. We inject those into the eye, and we also continue to use laser treatment. This is what laser looks like after we've put it in after a period of time, and that stabilizes the condition in the vast majority of patients. And we can start to see that the blood vessels, which were once like this, all growing very rapidly and aggressively, start to become like that, like a weed growing. Becomes regressed. This white stuff here is a blood vessel that's regressed and inactive, sort of like a weed that's gone from green to kind of resolved. This is someone with, again, regressed blood vessels, but this is all scar tissue, sort of like the white stuff you get on a scar in your cut in your hand. Well, scar tissue is white in your retina too, and that's causing pulling of the retina. And ultimately, this is someone with severe diabetic scar tissue, and this is something that requires surgery in the eye, where we're going with little instruments into the back of your eye to remove the scar tissue. This is not a good problem to have when you get to this stage where you're trying to remove all the scar tissue from the retina. It's analogous to trying to take wet tissue paper that's stuck to bubble gum and trying to get the bubble gum off it without tearing the wet tissue paper. That's a difficult problem, okay? So in summary, last slide, diabetes is a growing problem. Diabetes can cause you to go blind without you even knowing that it's happening. It gets back to whole body health, early detection, treatments are effective, and patients need to have constant vigilance. And I still say that the most important talk you heard today was the talk preceding mine, because that can help to avoid all of this. So with that, I will close, and I know that was a lot to take in a short period of time. I'm exhausted. I'm sure you are too. Thank you.
Stick around for 1 minute. So I would like to do, because I don't want to forget, our last T-shirt thing here. And then if you have questions for Dr. Cooney, then we'd like to introduce you to our vendors. I know some of you guys have tremendous patience. You've been here listening and learning a lot. So I hope you're going to spread the word. So for this T-shirt, we have row 7, the seat closest to the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. Close enough. And you are?
I'm Philip, and I work in the registrar's office.
There you go.
And
Thank you.
near and dear to my heart, 3 of my 4 grandparents, my father and my sister, all diabetic, plus aunts and cousins as well too. So, and I do know my A1C, 5.5,
Yes.
by the way.
Oh, look at him. He's a grand prize winner. So show us. So once again, I would urge you, Christmas and the holidays are coming. What this is the boroughs written in Braille on the T-shirt. And the money from Two Blind Brothers actually goes to fund medical research to stem vision loss. So what was the most important takeaway point from Dr. Cooney's lecture? And then we'll open up for questions. What do you think was the most important point?
curious to know what you all say to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Take care of your body. Take care of your blood sugar. Know your A1C. Eat right. Exercise. That's what I got from it.
All right. And the other thing is, you may have vision loss that you do not know about. So I know our students very well. You're all busy. You work, you go to school, you have families, you're tired, you're exhausted, and you put off going to the doctor, the eye doctor, to have your pupils dilated so we can see in the back of your eye. So don't do that anymore. Questions? I think we're good. Thank you for coming. Give my best to Dr. Sorensen. So I would like to begin. I just want to introduce some of our vendors. We have Guiding Eyes here, Rebecca Cross and Abigail Lehner. And Guiding Eyes actually provides guide dogs. And I'd like to know, for those of you who are interested in volunteering, you can assist with babysitting dogs, fostering dogs, training dogs, and they're happy to help with that. And so we have a beautiful dog. Oh, I love a dog I don't have to walk myself. Okay, so.
Okay, perfect. Just turn around. Perfect.
And where's the podium?
It's behind you at this moment?
Okay, I'll just stand here.
Yes, yes.
That works. Spiegel. Sit. Hi, everyone. Is this on? Okay, great. So this is Regal. She's my guide dog. And Guiding Eyes for the Blind trains dogs like Regal to assist people with vision loss like me. So there's several ways you can get involved with Guiding Eyes. If you are interested in volunteering, if you think she's amazing and adorable and you just really want to pet puppies, there's a lot of different ways you can volunteer. And so that can be anything from puppy sitting, which is taking a couple of young puppies into your home for like the weekend, which who doesn't want to do that, to raising a guide dog, which is about a year to 18 months of actually training the dog to be a well-behaved citizen before it goes off to dog college. And also you can get involved in other ways. You can fundraise, you can donate yourself. There's so many ways to get involved. Abby and I are in the back. You can definitely come talk to us. If you know someone who has vision loss, or maybe you have vision loss yourself, definitely check out guidingeyes.org. You can apply for a guide dog. The requirement is that you are at least legally blind and you've had mobility training. So 2 requirements. It's a great experience when you have a guide dog. Lastly, I just want to give a few pointers about service dog etiquette. So I obviously don't expect everybody to understand what to do when you see a guide dog, but for those of us in the communities, we really like to be able to share this. So number 1, don't pet the dog ever. You can ask, and sometimes the handler will let you. But if you see someone out and about with their dogs, just know that the dog is keeping that person safe and is directing it, kind of like the human guide. They're doing it, but they're a dog. So it's kind of like texting and driving if you're distracting them. You don't want to do that. The dog needs to keep her eyes on the road, and we want to make sure that everybody's safe. Also, you can always offer assistance, as I just got, because I did not know where the podium was. Driving the dog is, well, it is like driving a car, kind of. The dog does great with directions. She gets me everywhere I need her to go, but I have to be able to tell her where I'm going. So you can always offer assistance to someone with a guide dog. And finally, remember, always talk to these people, including me. We all are very friendly and we want to be your friends. Remember to talk to the person, not necessarily the dog. Of course, you can say hello, but you know, we speak English. The dog does not. So that's helpful. If you have any questions at all about the school, we've got some great bookmarks which have a whole list of do's and don'ts with interacting with a service animal. We have information about Guiding Eyes, and really hope that you come and say hello.
Thank you so much. And we have Michael Honan from the New York State Commission for the Blind. Michael came up earlier to talk about how to be a human guide, but also I I wanted him to speak for a moment about what the New York State Commission for the Blind does. And for those of you who are health services management people here, you might also consider employment opportunities with the State Commission, and it would be very interesting.
Hello, again, it's Michael Honan from the Commission for the Blind. We're a New York State agency that provides all sorts of services for people who are legally blind. We have about 7 or 8 offices throughout the whole New York State, from Long Island, a couple in Manhattan. I work in the Westchester area, Albany, Rochester, Syracuse, and stuff like that. What the agency does is, once we identify somebody who is legally blind, then we do an application service, and it could be either from childhood, from birth up until, I think the oldest person I ever worked with was about 104 years old. So anywhere across the lifespan. And during the different lifespans, we offer different types of programs. One would be, let's say, from children's services, then it goes into transition services, then let's say services when someone's in college or vocational services. And then you also have, as you get older, we have services, independent living services, ALP services, and stuff like that. Basically, each different program meets the needs of the person at that particular time in life. You can be a reoccurring person that comes back and forth for different services at different times of your life. Some of the services that we do offer, I will start off with what I do, is orientation mobility. It's basically traveling safely due to the vision loss, knowing where you are at all times in relationship to your environment, and maintaining an orientation as you travel through the environment. Range from basic concept skills up until public transportation, use of now, like a lot of the cell phones have a lot of technology and stuff like that. So we train with all sorts of things like that. Also, vision rehab services, a VRT, will work on skills within daily living skills. Similar to occupational therapy, but more so with the focus on vision loss. So skills would be money management, clothing management, meal management, stuff like that. Working in the home, teaching how to do all the things you normally do. We have technology services. We also have a lot of programs for kids. There's camps, there's summer programs, there's allotments for kids to have social programs, to be involved with that throughout the year. We also have vocational services where a person would, let's say, want to work. We help look for a job. Once they identify and find a job, then they might have a job coach to help them kind of adapt, and in addition to the technology services that might go along with that job. And then we have other services as a person gets older to maintain their independence. But the bottom line is once you identify, and it's to keep you independent or to make you independent, and to do things that you might want to do, but since you have vision loss, there's compensatory strategies or other ways of doing things. And the Commission for the Blind, you don't pay for the service. Anybody in New York State who is legally blind is eligible for it. You know, you have to fill out a form and an eye doctor report and stuff like that. But if you know of anybody, you can always refer them to that as well. And that's pretty much what the Commission does. Okay? Sure.
We also have here the Lighthouse Guild. So, and Dr. Zimmerman is affiliated with the Lighthouse Guild, and they provide a tremendous number of services in New York City and New York State. This is Janet Weinstein, yes?
Yes, I'm Janet Weinstein. I'm with Lighthouse Guild, and I want to thank all our presenters. Of course, our first presenter, Dr. Zimmerman, did speak a lot about the services that we have in relation to the other medical and health services as well. First, I'd like to point out that we're part of the continuum of healthcare. You know, we work closely with Dr. Cooney and his practice because a lot of people who are benefiting from the state-of-the-art in terms of medical treatments are still experiencing some functional difficulties, as Dr. Zimmerman mentioned. We also work closely with the Commission for the Blind. We actually have several contracts with the Commission where we will carry out a lot of the services for people who are blind, who are legally blind, who, by the way, can still have a significant amount of usable vision, as Dr. Zimmerman talked about low vision. Really what's happened, Lighthouse Guild, we're a not-for-profit agency. We've been around as an agency helping people who have vision problems for over 100 years. However, what's happened in recent years is, first of all, people are living longer. There are not as many people, thankfully, who have no vision at all. But there are more people who do have issues with their vision, and sometimes it's not just vision. So really what we're about, and I would encourage you to come and pick up some of the materials that we have at our table, because we're helping to connect people with vision and healthcare services. So in doing that, Dr. Zimmerman did talk about our low vision programs, our rehabilitation programs. We also have a diabetes program. It's an American Diabetes accredited program of diabetes education and management. It is at our headquarters, which is on West 64th Street and West End Avenue, and we do provide services to people throughout New York City and also outside of in the New York metropolitan area. We also have professional education that might be of interest to you if you're in the health area, with continuing education units. Once you get into the fields that you're going into, we have professional education for occupational therapists, for nurses, for social workers, for different vision professionals that can help you be more attuned to the needs of people who have vision impairment. So we have a wide range of direct services. It's a lot that we have because we're kind of bridging healthcare with rehabilitation. Our low vision services, our diabetes services are actually housed in a health center, which is also located at our headquarters. In that healthcare center, we also have primary care, and then we have medical specialties related, many of which are related to diabetes care. We have an endocrinologist who's a diabetes specialist on staff. We have a nephrologist who works with people with kidney problems. We have occupational therapy and physical therapy. In fact, our occupational therapist has a specialization in working with people who are visually impaired. Really, what's happened in recent years, first of all, in terms of treatment of diabetes, I think on the positive side, we know now that people with diabetes can largely live as long as everyone else and also live a healthy life. Now, there are complications, clearly, and we've heard about that all afternoon, and we're here to help you with education so that you can, to some extent, prevent complications. Sometimes, as we've heard, no matter how well you take care of yourself, there will be complications, so we are there to help you to minimize those complications and also minimize the effects of those complications on your life. What's very inspiring is that what we can do to help people make best use of the vision they have, and even if people have diminished vision, you can continue to do things or resume your ability to do things, to work, to take care of the home, take care of family, get around safely. So I encourage, another service is very important that we have is behavioral health. We actually have the only psychiatric clinic in the United States that specializes in working with people who are visually impaired, and it's been around since the 1960s. It's not limited to that. We have psychotherapy, we have psychology, we have group support, and psychopharmacology for medication management. Often when people are dealing with the onset of an illness and its effects on them, whether it's diabetes or something else, they have to take care of their emotional, their behavioral, mental health before they can even take advantage of the other services. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We do have services for people of all ages as well. So I thank everybody, and like I said, I encourage you to come back to the table and pick up some materials. We have a bunch of pens and eyeglass cleaners and goodies like that too. So come by.
Thank you. So also, Dr. McLennan Weir is going to introduce the last three vendors, and I also wanted to say, when you hear about these things and you're thinking about an internship, you're thinking about volunteering, you're thinking about changing your resume, all of the individuals who've come here today are places for you to think about expanding your career, volunteering your time, and doing a preceptorship.
Thank you. All right. Did you guys learn? Yes. Was it good? All right, awesome. Thank you for staying, for those of you who are still here. Yeah, got it. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to introduce C-Tech, Chuck Cohen. If you could come up and explain all the fabulous devices that you have and explain to everyone what they are. Is he coming? Oh, I hear your feet.
in 3 minutes or less.
Well, as much as you can.
Hi. Oh, yeah, I could use this. Hi, my name is Chuck Cohen. I'm president of a company called C-Tech, and we distribute products for the blind and visually impaired. We deal a lot with people who have RP or macular degeneration. There was a show on Dr. Phil in October about this device called the Orcam glasses. Well, I have the Orcam right on my glasses right now. What the Orcam can do is it can take a picture of something and read it to you. It also does facial recognition, product recognition, money recognition. And it just went to sleep on me. I'm going to wake it up. All right. So now I can point to something. It takes a picture and it reads to you. Oh, wait. Not to you. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Here we go.
A young man is in front of you.
Okay, so it saw that there was, I was reading.
2.0 People, an artificial vision device with a man TNA that austerely reads text aloud from NESWD copies face.
But it also saw that there was a boy in front of me because it looked right past the reading material. So we have all this kind of great equipment here that I brought in the back. Oops, wow. Wake up. I got this great equipment in the back. If you have time to come see me, it'd be great. If not, you can pick up my card. I do a lot of work with Dr. Zimmerman. In fact, I could have given you a ride over here if I known you were coming, because I was at her place right before I came here. So thank you very much. I appreciate it and wish you'd come back.
Thank you so much. All right. Anthony Candela is here from Bookshare. Karen, can you assist him up, please? I'm going to give you my mic.
From you, and the audience is right in front.
Thank you very much. Dr. Cooney's talk made me remember something. I took a course once, and it was the last day of the course, and many retinas were being flashed up on the screen. This was almost 40 years ago. I'm remembering this story now. There were diabetic retinopathy retinas up there. There were other types of retinas up there, and they were getting progressively uglier and uglier, and he puts the final slide up, and he says to us, "What is this?" We all guessed. I thought I'd be brilliant and say, "It's a combination of 3 different diseases all in the same retina." He goes, "No, it's a pizza." So now what I want to know, is a pizza a meal? And as a Sicilian American boy, the answer is yes, as long as you don't do it too much. I'm here representing Bookshare. My name is Tony Candela. I'm a recovering rehabilitation counselor. I started my career with the Commission for the Blind in 1977, and I retired 3 years ago after having gone up the ladder in this organization, and then I went to another organization, then I went to another one, and then 2 other ones, and finally I hit my pewter principle and decided the best thing to do was to retire. So now I work part-time for an organization called Bookshare. I'm going to adjust this mic. Now I work part-time for an organization called Bookshare, which is based in Palo Alto, California. I lived in California for 16 years. They are a lot of fun out there. And what Bookshare is a not-for-profit program. Its mother company is called Benetech. They have a bunch of different projects, but Bookshare is their largest. And it is a program to provide books in alternative formats for print-impaired individuals. So a print-impaired individual could be someone who has a visual impairment or who is blind. It could also be someone who cannot physically manipulate a book. It could be someone who has a reading disability of some type, a learning disability, attention deficit, eye tracking problems that make reading a regular physical book difficult. So Bookshare basically has different formats, and what you do is you go to the Bookshare website, you search for your title, you find it, and then you download it into your computer or into some other type of device. Hold on one second. There are audio-visual formats for people who would like to look at the book on a screen, see the words scrolling across the screen. The word that is being enunciated audibly will be being highlighted on the screen at the same time. So if you have a tracking or an attention difficulty, you'll listen to the book and you'll see the book simultaneously, and the words being read will be being highlighted. So you've got assistance to track. There are audio-only formats, and some of those formats are like an MP3 format, and a lot of the formats follow a convention that's been adopted by the world called the DAISY conventions. DAISY stands for Digital Audio something, something, something. And these are the formats that are used when alternative ways of presenting books are created. And then there are Braille formats. So you would download the book electronically, and then you'd feed it into a device that creates refreshable Braille. So it's not hard copy paper Braille that's coming at you. It's a Braille that's popping up on a device that pops the pins up and down as you go from line to line in the Braille. So you can download the book in a Braille format. So come back to the table, spend a few minutes. We'll tell you more about Bookshare. Essentially, everybody from all ages use it. A lot of teachers in a lot of schools, elementary, high school, are making sure that their students are hooked up with Bookshare. I call Bookshare one of the tools in your toolbox, especially if you are a college student. When you never know for sure whether or not the textbook that professor has assigned to you is going to be available from one of the sources where college students who need alternative formats get their books. So the best thing to do is have all of the sources at your disposal. Bookshare is one of those sources. Some of you may have heard of another one called the Learning Ally. It's been around the longest. Then the library, the National Library System, they are the ones that created the talking book, the original talking books. And lately I've been hearing about a tool used by many of the city university schools called Access Text. And that's a project, I believe, out of Georgia Tech, federally funded, and it's similar to Bookshare in that the books are made available for download. And that's the way everybody is doing business these days. Books are made available for download, and you download it. So whichever one of those tools you use, Bookshare, the National Library Service, Access Text, Learning Ally, if you are a person who especially may have a need for a book in a hurry, like a college student would, have all four tools at your disposal. So we recommend Bookshare because we like Bookshare, because I work for Bookshare, but we realize that Bookshare is just one of the tools out there. The Bookshare library has more than 650,000 books in it. And the way it works is they deal directly with more than 300 publishing companies. And when a book comes out, the publishing company sends it electronically to Bookshare, and Bookshare converts it into the various formats that I mentioned before. And then you, the end user, go online and download your book. Thank you very much. Come back and see us.
All right, guys. So I'm going to talk briefly about maxi aids and independent living aids. In the back, there's a table of catalogs. Essentially, what these providers do, they sell specialized equipment for people that have different types of disabilities. And they do have stuff for people that have low vision, blind, visually impaired. So people always ask me, how do you put your clothes together? How do you look the way you look, blah, 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 blah. So there are great devices that will read the color of your clothes so that you know what color the clothing is, okay? There's organizational tools, like let's say you want to do laundry. You can put your two brown socks together, throw it in the wash, They sell little tags like that so that you know how to, which are the browns and the blacks. They sell talking scales. So here we talk about nutrition. You want to maintain your weight. So if you are visually impaired, or maybe you don't want to look down at the scale, but sometimes when you hear it, it really reinforces. So you can buy yourself a nice talking scale for $80. And once you go on it, you're like, oh my God, that's good, or oh my goodness, that's really bad. So they do have talking scales. They have everything that talks, from blood pressure machines to glucometers, and that's how you check your sugar. There are pill boxes that are labeled. There's talking microwaves. You name it, they have it. And there are catalogs, and they're talking watches, braille watches, really cool stuff that makes someone that has a disability be able to live in their house independently, and also in your office, just organizing yourself. So independent living aids is over there. On Max Aids, I like to look at both of them to see which one is cheaper, because I like to save money. So that is also available. Oh, turn to the right. Oh, thank you. Okay, goodness. Okay, so that's on the table. I really hope that all of you, before you walk out of here, go see the vendors, because they'll be really pissed off at me if you don't. So I would really appreciate, so I can keep my relationships in the community, at least go get a free pen or a card or something, okay? And we'll have the student volunteers block the door so that you won't leave until you see the vendors. And there's still some more snacks. But before we conclude, I have to say, I am so happy that a lot of you came. We begged so hard, and you really listened to us to come. And I think it was really good. I think you learned a lot, right? Wasn't it good? Okay, so you got to come back next year. I have to thank everyone, and there's always a long list, but this year we're getting better. There's the program. So on the back of the program, you guys can look for all the people that participated in getting this together. It was a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but I just want to highlight a couple of folks. Karen Miller, she's the assistant to the Disability Services. She's my right hand. She helps me a lot. I just want to thank Karen for all her support and all her good hard work. I also have to thank all the personal counselors. They sit on every campus. They're the ADA coordinators. They make disability services what it is. If it's not for them, a lot of the services that the students get directly would not happen, because again, there's only one of me and there's like 7 or 8 of them. So I want to thank them for their participation, especially in monitoring the live stream and providing this program on our side, all of our other campuses, also online as well. Student development, campus life. I mean, this was a joint event. Thank you so much for all your support, Dr. Reed and your crew. You guys are awesome. I also want to thank Dr. Barbara Cohen for suggesting this. Because of your suggestion, this is possible. So thank you so much. And I'm sure you're going to have more work for me to do. And I'll be happy to do it. And oh, tell me more. Great. I also want to thank all the maintenance crew, Ted Tavelka, Ursula Visconti, Michael Binder, everyone that really helped getting the food, all of you for coming, VIA for marketing, flyers, all those things. It takes a village. Did I forget someone? Oh my God, how could I forget the tech people? Oh my goodness. Okay, so to Ayana Shepard and her crew, Ian Jacobs, Eric, oh God, oh God, I can't remember your last name. Varas, thank you. And Jonathan, I don't know your last name. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. But thank you guys. You guys make this so easy. And before we leave, I don't know if you noticed when you came in, but there was a great compilation of music that was playing. And I just want to highlight that because the tech crew really helped me in putting it together. So the music is going to play, and what you should know that the artists that you're listening to are artists that are blind, as well as artists who have diabetes. Okay, so it's a great compilation of music. I want the music to roll so that you can go to the vendors. You can't leave until you see those vendors and take a snack, because we really don't want to, clean up any food. Thank you so much, and see you next year. Bye-bye.
Baby! What? Turn on my mic. 1, 2, 3.